Cheers, queers. What's on the big gay agenda today, Theora?
Today, we are going to be continuing our scene-by-scene breakdown of Pluto the Series, episode 11, and today we'll be starting what we have all been waiting for, which is part 3 of the episode, which is the part of the episode about So it's about the of it all, so we're going to be here for a while, because I warned everybody at the beginning of this.
I got a double warning through text message.
Once shows up, it goes off the rails. So we made it.
I can't wait, but it's also very sad. So, woo.
Woo. All right, but before we get into all that delicious goodness, let's just do some quick corrections and clownery from our lovely listeners. And we will start with Patreon, where White Cat said, from our episode titled Tell Me Why, which is the last episode of part of episode 10. White Cat says, Kaitlyn's Backstreet Boys song adaptation was awesome. So good job, Kaitlynn.
Thank you.
And I was ready to fight, I meaning me, was ready to fight most of the characters in that episode. You know, sometimes you gotta bring the energy, White Cat, I'll just tell you. And White Cat has a new hashtag for Pluto, which is hashtag why does no one tell I anything, question mark, exclamation mark. Which, yeah. No, that should have been trending the whole time the show was going on.
It's not too late. Who wants to start the trending party?
We can get this going, yeah, when this episode releases. Hashtag why does no one tell I anything? We'll add it for you, White Cat. And the White Cat concludes, I kind of think May would do, to our question about how do the characters do at therapy. And White Cat writes, I kind of think May would do pretty well in therapy as long as the thing she's trying to work through is not her love life. That's valid. I don't think the therapist could handle it, to be honest with you. And White Cat continues, can you imagine if they all have the same therapist, though? That would be, quote, a fun time. Keeping track of who knows what. Oh my god, the poor therapist.
That's true, because she can't even be like, how did this certain thing make you feel? Because she'd have to just literally say nothing and just let them do all the talking.
That would be hilarious. Yeah, because like the therapist would be like, okay, like I doesn't know about that May knows that she's I, and you know what I mean? Like the therapist, this is a White Cat saying, the therapist has to keep hearing all that shit and counsel these people at the same time. That would suck so bad.
The minute the therapist hears something that the other person doesn't know, she's like, this is conflict of interest. We got to bring in more people.
And why do you feel that way? This poor therapist. The therapist is going to need a therapist, and then that therapist has to keep track of all this shit too. It just never ends. Thank you, White Cat, as always, for writing in. We appreciate your addition.
All right, so our next comment from Patreon is from Cassie M, and they said, just for the record, I meant Moonlight along with all the along with all the other overplayed songs from the Only You OST. And now we talked about lawyers and if they're like
how accurate is May as a lawyer?
Yeah, basically. And Cassie says that I've never dated nor have been close friends with a lawyer, so I can't help you there. Thank you, Cassie.
Yes.
In my opinion, over 2 hours, you repeatedly get to the main point in my commentary to 10-1. So 10 part 1. No one talks to each other. You correctly pointed out that not only did not I or May talk to each other before making decisions for each other, also I's and friends never talked to them, which could have solved this clusterfuck.
Sure. You are correct.
That's why at the end of episode 9, I was still sure that series will turn out to be good, whereas after episode 10, I found this all too convenient. Surely Pang, Jan, or Kasol could have talked to I before this turned so ugly, and I made the fateful decision to sacrifice her love for her sister, who isn't loved by May, by the way. I mean, you're not wrong at all.
Oh, yeah, no, May doesn't love anybody except I. No. And that's questionable. That is my opinion.
I only liked the final part of episode 11 when May and I were first forced to talk truthfully at last, and May finally got to call her by her name. I believe that both I and Grandma, would have only told the truth to if she was on the brink of suicide. Kasol and May would have told her, but not in a way that's helpful. So probably chose the best person to tell her. Not that it helped, as we can see in episodes 11 and 12.
I mean, still had to process all the fuck shit again, twice, so it's not her fault. Excuse me. Yeah, miscommunication in the series is part of what's baked into Pluto. It's one of those tropes that kind of just keeps going, so thank you for pointing all of that out. All right, well, thank you, everybody. Again, we appreciate your comments and additions and corrections, so please keep writing those in, and we will keep reading them at the start of our episodes. And with that, let us pivot into part 3 of episode 11 of Pluto, the series. Woo! Woo woo. So this episode picks up with and May arriving at, quote, the place they can be together forever, as would say. And I gotta point out that it's nighttime when they get there. Like, they were driving during the daytime in the last episode, now it is nighttime. Where the fuck is this place? Where'd they go?
I also noted that because, like, it's night and day.
Literally. Like, where are they? Where is this river?
Were they driving?
What the fuck?
This show's done it a couple times, actually, but, like, shows in general, when they go from, like, you don't see the sunset at all, and you just go from literally, like, middle of the day to night, full day. It's just so jarring because, like, what the hell happened in that time?
I mean,
because
yes,
we
I
don't
agree.
even see what happened between the two of them.
It's really dry, but in this case, it's like the scene before they were driving to this destination. Now it is nighttime. They're at the destination. So, like, presumably they were driving the whole time so much that the sunset, it is now night. It's fully nighttime. It's not like twilight. Did they not stop?
Yeah.
And then, okay, so then they get there, and then what happens? The second they stop, May sprints out of the car and tries to make a run for it. So that means that they did not stop on this road trip, because if they did, May would have done this and wouldn't have been able to catch her. So, like, they didn't stop for dinner. There was no pit stops, like no pee breaks, nothing. They were driving the whole time. Because remember, May wakes up and then texts her, I'm coming to get you. Wait, how long is this road trip? Is my question. They didn't stop.
This scene is now a lot sadder if May really has to pee.
I'm saying!
With
yeah,
having
totally.
to pee and crying. But also, May running away from the car, like, as soon as possible is, like, very reminiscent of the night that she was running away from Console attacking her.
Oh, that's valid. You in danger, girl.
Yeah. Just want to point that out. This is not her first time running away from danger in the car.
You're not wrong. Although, this is her first abduction. But you're right.
True. Maybe not her last.
We don't know her life with May. Who knows? Somebody else has got to want to abduct this bitch at some point. She's a little troublemaker. Okay, I will give credit, though, for this abduction, because, like, they didn't stop, which means she had that car fully gassed. Like, she was ready for this. Like, she put some plan.
Also, how much gas is in this car?
I'm saying. You got some good gas mileage on your car there, Anyway,
so
they
were trying to get away, and the car just broke down because there was no more gas.
That car's toast now. They can't get back in it. Yeah, when they go to leave, Boom's like, we're taking your bike. I am out of gas. Also, I get here on a motorcycle, which has worse gas mileage. So, like, what the... This poor... She had to have stopped for gas, because, like, there's only so much gas that can go into a motorcycle. You know what I mean? Like...
Yeah, it's a miracle that she got there as quick as she did.
I agree, but I think also, like, she's much trailing behind, not only because she had to start from Bangkok, but she definitely had to stop to get gas at least once, because this seemed to take forever. But she at least had the tracking device, so, like, she knew how to get there, but, like, was ready to go. So, one twin plans the other. Anyway. So, okay, so May tries to reenact her meeting with Kasol and, like, runs away from until she injures herself and then falls to the ground. And this is why heels are terrible footwear, everyone, because they cause injury like this and restrict our ability to run in dire situations. Public safety.
You will never know when you're in a situation like this. So,
yeah, yes.
Hashtag don't wear heels.
Hashtag don't wear heels. Also, that knew she was gonna abduct May, so, like, you should have worn different shoes, but, like, May is running in heels, so, like, Again, poor May, both times she didn't know she was going to get attacked and is in heels and can't properly run away. This is her second time. I thought it was her I'd never wear heels again. But anyway, I don't want to wear heels now, but I'm not May. But anyway, that's a public service announcement. But also, to be fair to aside from the footwear issue, she's been in a coma for who knows how long. So like her muscles are very she's deconditioned in terms of like strength. So she's like kind of at her weakest, like physically, because when you're laying in a coma and you can't move around, your muscles like deteriorate slowly because you're not using them. Hence why they had to go in there and do like the physical therapy to keep her muscles moving. But like even with that, like she's gonna be slow and stuff. But so she was never gonna outrun May, is my point here. Okay, so crumples to the ground and May hears this. And so she stops running and turns around and then asks are you okay? And when she turns around, like you can see that like May is actually still holding her phone in her hand, which probably means that she kept the call going with this entire time. So also May's phone was fully charged. I guess. Good job, May.
For once.
For once. Excuse me.
But this shot of like you can see how desperate and drained is.
And defeated. Defeated is the word too.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, she's not okay. Like poor little
But at least May does cares enough to ask if she's okay.
Does she care? I don't know
that was my question. Does she really care though?
Does she though? I don't know that she does, but she does ask it because her like kidnapper is May has no real exit strategy. I think May's stalling her time because she's like, I's gonna come here and fucking save me and show you she loves me more than you, bitch. So I'm just gonna keep this going. I've become to have a much more negative view of May on my second intent rewatch of the show.
The more we analyze, the more I'm like,
the more I'm like,
May.
May's the villain of this story, actually. If you really were to unpack this. Like, her dad, also a villain. But, like, of the situationship, May's kind of the villain, actually.
Because there's, like, subtle things that you don't notice.
Right.
But when you really look into it,
you're like,
that's questionable.
You're like when we were like, okay, so she knew about Ben's mom and so, like, was her motivation for helping Ben purely benevolent, or was it like, oh, I'm trying to court this woman, so I should help her friend I fucked over? With May, it's never clear, and that's a problem.
And it never will be. Because you can never tell when she's genuine or not.
It's true.
And that's terrifying. She is terrifying.
She really is. Anyway, all of that is correct. But okay. So anyway, so May, to your point, is like, oh, are you okay? And that's weird. And she stopped running. And is me and you in this scene, watching the scene, because she's like, oh, you stopped running? Like, she asked her, sure, she's like, you're not going to run away anymore? Like, that's weird. I figured you would never stop running because you hate me so much or whatever. And to our point, like, we know May doesn't actually care about And in this situation, from point of view, feels like no one genuinely cares about her right now because all of the fucking fuck shit happening with and May and Mima and literally everybody in her life. So she's like, I'm surprised you even stopped to ask me a question about myself. Nobody seems to care about me. That's like energy right now.
Mm-hmm.
And then my favorite part is that after asks her this, like, oh, you stopped running, May looks annoyed at this question. And it's like, I don't know why you took me here, but your sister's on her way, bitch.
Okay, I need to stop here because May has a lot of faith in and in the fact that she's coming, considering that she couldn't actually communicate with her on the phone, and, like, she doesn't know for sure that I heard everything. Like, for all she knows, like, I could have been on the other end being like, May, are you okay? What's wrong? Why aren't you answering? Like, she could have just been doing that on the other end because she couldn't hear anything and didn't know why May was calling her but not saying anything. Like,
that's true. She does
Just
not.
saying.
She does not. She can't track I back on the Find My Friends soulmate thing or whatever app they were using. So yeah, she has. I guess that's just to demonstrate like her blind faith in the fact that I loves
Blind
me.
faith.
I guess.
Sorry.
What did you
Blind
say?
faith. You said blind faith, and I just thought it was ironic. Sorry.
Oh,
That's just a
because she can see now. That was not a joke. It was not meant to be a pun because I hate them. But sure, take it as one. Okay, but I love how Oom's like, "Oh, you suddenly care about me," and May's like, "Just to let you know, your sister's here." Like she's such a May's such a bitch. Sometimes I swear to God, she's just annoyed. But again, she just got kidnapped, so like to be fair. Okay, so then after May is like, "Bitch, I got the high ground," and you're about to be outnumbered, it then cuts to and you can just like you can just feel the betrayal etched into her face because she's like, "Oh, I is coming here." Ugh, poor And this is when reveals why she brought May here. And she's like, I brought you here to comfort and heal, and I'm all out of heal, bitch. So she's like, wow, my sister must really love you a lot, huh? And now the situation is finally about May. May's invested in this conversation. And she's like, what do you want, You brought up I. What do you want? Okay. And in between this question and May's response to the question, I have to point out, like, between my sister must love you and what exactly do you want here, I have to point out the camera work that goes on. Because when brings up I, like, she pivots into I, and she's like, oh yeah, she must really love you, huh? Like, the way she kind of phrased that, when it cuts to May, the camera operator, like, sways the camera from, like, left to right.
Mhm.
And I think it's because this question is the thing that knocks May off balance, hence like that rocking with the camera. And I thought that was really interesting because think about it. May just got kidnapped. She was literally kidnapped, brought to an undisclosed location by water. And the thing that gets her off balance the most is asking, my sister must really love you, huh? Like, that's the thing that gets to May, not the kidnapping. It's the Ioun loves you, right? The test of loyalty thing. And I think like that's part of the buildup to that ultimatum, the one that gave her it like way back when. Like, who's I gonna choose in the end, you or me? Like, I think May's like we're teetering into that territory. I'm bringing an I into our bullshit, and like it's gonna. I think May's worried that's how this is gonna end, and like spoiler, that's what happens. But it's already triggering May, like the possibility of that, and who is I really gonna choose? Because to your point, May is so confident Ai's going to come here and defend her despite having no confirmation from Ioun that that's what's going to happen. But then here's like pointing out May's insecurities, being like, does I really love you or does she love me? Like, who does she love, really? Or who does she love the most, rather? Okay. After that, though, after this little exchange, then the tone of this conversation shifts into something I don't like, because then looks off towards the water with this lost look in her eyes, almost like she's physically here but mentally far away. And then she says, the river seems strange. And then it cuts to this wide shot of the two of them. And if you watch swaying, almost like she's drunk or very off balance in her own way. And my first time watching this, I thought this scene was going to end up with body in the river. I don't know about you, but I was like, oh, I don't like where
That's
this is
very
headed.
fair. Like, even watching it already, I still get that feeling because, like, I can't fully explain why, but it just feels like needs to be admitted to the hospital, like the psychiatric hospital, because like
Yes, danger.
after May asks her this question, like the way that turns her head and her eyes are just so glazy while her body is swaying just screams to me that she's exhausted and just mentally not okay.
Yes.
And because like I've had breakdowns like this, like where it feels just like this, and you're just so drained, and you're like, I don't even know where to focus anymore. Like she's not okay. She needs
No,
help.
she's
And
not
then like
okay.
coupled with the way that she says the river seems strange, it gives me this is a reference for you, Theor. Do you hear the wolves vibes? Which is
Oh.
which is a reference from the book we covered called Several People Are Typing.
It's amazing.
So
Please go
go
read that
check
book.
out that book.
It's incredible.
It's great. But
It's
yeah,
so
so
good.
the way that
Yeah.
she says the river seems strange gives me, and it's out of the blue. It gives me that vibe, and she needs help.
Yes, I agree. Like literally, like I'm with you. Even now, knowing what happens, every time I get to this moment, I'm like, Oom's gonna end up dead in that river. Like I feel like that's where this is headed because of the shakiness of the camera, the way she's not steady, like she's not okay. And I feel I got self harm, not I'm gonna harm May from this
Yeah.
personally. Yeah, I thought
Well,
she was gonna
also
end up in the river.
coupled with the line in the last part where she's like, "I'm taking you where we can be together
Yeah,
forever."
right.
It was like a double suicide.
Murder suicide. I thought this was gonna be
Murder
murder
suicide.
suicide. But then like I get here and I'm like, I think Oom's gonna be the one to end up in that river, not May. Cause like she seems like she's in self-harm mode, basically. Not I'm gonna kill you, May. But yeah, no, that she's not okay. Like she's definitely not okay. 100,000,000%. And like no, again, it didn't. She didn't just get here out of the blue. Like all of these flashbacks we keep getting, very much build up to this because like she, I will point out millions of times in this episode, struggled on her own for a really long time, and people were there for her, but it ultimately didn't help. Like it was beyond their capacity to help her was the thing. The people that were there, like Jan and Paul, the main two. Mima, to some extent, we don't really see a lot of their scenes, but we get a lot with Paul and Jan. But they were not enough to help her. And like it's not a failing on Jan or Paul. It's like they're not professional psychologists. Like she needed professionals who knew how to help her through this grief and everything that she was feeling. And it's like she didn't have the help she needed like when she needed it, and so that's how we get here. That's one of the reasons we get here. Okay. And I empathize a lot with because I've been in a situation like her emotional state as well. Not necessarily, well, yeah, I guess like this, but like with this whole her heartbreak and stuff, I empathize majorly with her. This is why I like so much, because I get what she's going through. Not the whole my sister and May and all that, not that, but like the emotional journey she goes through, because it's very real and it's this horrible situation where like you can't even help yourself, and it's really like it's awful. And so I get where she's at. I really do. And it's one of those things, like at least my experience is like I didn't know I needed help. And I don't think she did either. And it was like, but that's how we get here. It doesn't come out of nowhere. But then like May never really cared about so like this is weird for her. And then I has been distancing herself from for a really long time. So I think that's why in this scene it takes them a long time to realize that like is just not okay. Like, you know what I mean? Like it takes them a while. And they're all like personally
Yeah.
involved in the shit too. So they're all like about themselves. And then it takes mainly a while to be like, my sister is not okay. Like this is not normal.
It
Like,
takes her a little too long.
it's real. It does, but I think that's again, it's because of the tragedy of their story, where like they've been separated for so long, they don't know each other. Is the thing. I feel like if they were actually close, like if this was Mima instead of I think she'd be more like, you're not okay. Like, I think she would recognize it because she spent more time with adult
A random person on the street could tell she's not okay.
I mean, you would think that. But again, everybody's grappling with their own shit. Like, I's gonna be real guilty because she's like, I was dating her behind your back, but it was, blah, blah, blah. So she's got the guilt thing that she's got to get past before she can see what's in front of her. May doesn't care. And then, you know what I mean? So it has to be it has to, like, get over her own bullshit before she can recognize him. So, okay. Anyway, we're jumping the gun because this scene is just so epic. So anyway, yeah. This scene is terrifying. And I really wish this show aired in America so that Film and Namtom can both get awards for this episode because they're both incredible in it.
They are.
And I like so good
forgot
in this.
that I'm done with both roles again.
She Tatiana Maslany'd you or you forgot.
Every time.
Every time.
Anyway.
Film's emotional journey is insane once we start getting to the latter part of this episode, of this piece of the episode. But just like Naoto's portrayal of was just insane. Because like this is not in the novel, a lot of this. So like she had to like kind of invent some of this a little bit with like the rest of the production team, and like she did a phenomenal job with it. She Tatiana Maslany, that's all. Which is the highest compliment you can give an actor. Okay, anyway, so this creepy shit happens. And then kind of like, again, is fixated on the water and keeps May's like, what does this have to do with me? And she's then continues about the river. So sometimes it's beautiful, sometimes it's scary. And remember that is lost in thought when she says this, because it, like, to Kaitlynn's point, she's not here right now mentally. She's not okay. And she's saying things. And then May cuts to May, who looks out towards the river. And to me, it's kind of indicating that like is lost, and then May is like in the present moment, like trying to figure out what the hell is happening in her own way, but like it's not the math's not mathing with what saying and what reality is presenting. And to me, it kind of almost looks like, to me with May, it's almost like she's trying not to panic, because this is not, again, is like suicidal sounding. And like May is like, I don't know how to get out of here. I don't have the keys of this car. What the fuck is actually going on with Oom's a wild card.
It's like nighttime and a river.
Right, nighttime.
Does have a gun?
Right.
Or a knife?
I mean, if this was the novel, thered be a gun. Like, yeah, exactly. Like, we don't know. Oom's a wild card right now. So I think May is very much like, stay calm and trying to calculate how the fuck to get out of this. Because, yeah, if she has a gun and tries to run away, that's not gonna work. Okay, so May's trying to master chess her way out of this. And then continues and says, I never understood how two opposing feelings could exist at once. And then it cuts to May, who looks away from the river to and then looks up and down. Because again, this bitch is calculating her next move. And then turns to look at May and finishes, until I loved you. And as finishes that statement, enters the fucking scene. Now, before we get to the part of it and this whole situationship drama, I want to take a moment to dissect what just said, because it's one of my favorite lines in this whole thing, and I think it's important. So to bring it all back, she says, the river seems strange. Sometimes it's beautiful, sometimes it's scary. I never understood how two opposing feelings could exist at once until I loved you meaning May. So again, first of all, this might be my favorite monologue in the series, because I think it's really riddled with metaphor and it's beautiful. But hearing this again, it kind of made me ask myself, well, okay, why are we at a river right now? And like, now I know we're here because this is where Paul proposed, promised to love forever. So trying to bring May to a place where she could recreate that kind of happiness is probably what's driving all of this. But my question is, why did the production team for Pluto bring us to a river specifically? Okay, it could be anywhere having this conversation. She got proposed to anywhere. Why a river? So it made me think of like water and like the duality of water. So water is an interesting element because it has the property to give life, like literally, like rain nourishes plants and that's how plants grow, and like rivers bring food to villages and like sustain fish, etc. So like it is life literally through that aspect, and like metaphorically, like you've heard the term maybe like water of the womb. So it's associated with like life, which is a good thing, right? But water is also destructive at the same time. Like water over time creates canyons. It erodes rock. You have riptides. You have floods that are devastating. So it, like what said, how you can have two opposing feelings be true at the same time. So that's water. You have two very opposite things that are both true about water or a river, for example. So then I think the production team puts in front of a river when she's proposed to by Paul and emotionally devastated by and May, really, in this whole scene. Because I think that's symbolic of how people, namely experiences love. Because love is not one thing. Love is not good all the time. Love is, it changes. Like love can be very, very good, or it can be like medium. It can be really bad and toxic sometimes. So in that way, it's like water, or like a river. It can be nurturing and supportive when it's good, right? So bringing that back to like May and relationship at the very beginning, it was like this very happy thing, and it was the support that needed to get out of that abusive work environment. Like May supported her through that and helped her, so that love was a good thing. If you bring in I into the equation, I's role as big sister, good thing, supportive thing. And then Paul's presence in life was a nurturing, supportive thing, right? So love was good. But love can also be destructive, like the river, like on the opposite end of it. So when once May started getting a feeling that was not the first love that she fell in love with, like started feeling very insecure because she was feeding off of that. And that's when she started getting irrationally jealous and like showing up at work meetings. You know what I mean? And active heartbreak over May made it impossible for her to love Paul back in the way that he loved her. So that made that relationship not very good when it comes to the love in it. Then when you go back to Ioun, when I breaks trust, there's that. And then and that's how we end up with kidnapping May in an attempt to salvage that love she once had, right? So I like this metaphor of the river. I think it's really poignant, and it really does encapsulate love, the way sometimes with love, two things can be true at the same time when discussing the feeling of love. And again, we're here at this river particularly because it witnessed like the apex of good love, like when she got proposed to, and then the bad love, which is this. And I think that's how we ended up here and why they picked a river. So I thought that's my thoughts on that.
Well, that's really good. Like, damn, you read into that water, but that makes perfect sense. The first time I heard this, and before we got to the like until I loved you part, I thought she was just talking about life in general and like how I'm still like on the suicide train of like
That's
she's
valid.
gonna do something, and she's like, I something so beautiful could be so scary. Like life's good, but like it's kind of terrible too. So that's where I had, and then she got to the rest, and I was like, okay, maybe not.
I mean, life is a big encompassing thing, and love is a part of life. So like it does work. You're not wrong. It is. That's a bigger arching message. But this, I think it's more specific about love. So anytime this river comes up, because brings it up a couple of times, like replace the word river with love. And that's what is really talking about. Okay, so back to the scene. So now Ioun is here. So the full situationship has arrived. And when I shows up, she runs to May first and then grabs May and checks May's body to make sure she's okay because the bitch was kidnapped. But May, if you watch her, does not take her eyes off of Like, I comes into the scene, but she's like, the danger's there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The danger's there. But also in the scene, May feels like she's got the upper hand now because here's I doting all over her and proving in May's brain who I cares about the most. Because like this is also a war to see who gets Ioun. That's kind of what this is. It's a war to see who gets who when the situationship is divided up. Okay, we saw a preview of this with the throuple that could have been when we're like, who's gonna get who? And then like they did the weird kiss thing, and then they're like, okay, Payne gets Jan gets Payne, Officer Hottie gets no one, and that's the end. This is more drawn out because we have to get into Uma's backstory, but it's basically a similar scene. And there's no weird kissing.
Except there's no three-way kiss.
No, thank God we don't need that.
Could you imagine if that happened in this scene too?
I really can't. But could you imagine if May was, for some reason, because it had to be her, was channeling who was it, Pang, and then like kisses and then was like, see there's nothing here, and then starts like making out with I furiously, like then would end up in the river for sure.
That would kill her.
Would be in the river. Like that's how that would end. But thank God May is not Pang. Just in this scene, I wish she was more like Pang in other aspects, but anyway. Okay, so is Pang. What would Pang do in this scene? Just leave it in the comments. I don't have time to think about it, but just let me know because I think an addition of Pang would be interesting. Anyway, so then May's staring down right? And it's like May's silently saying, "Checkmate, bitch. She loves me the most." And it isn't until May communicates to I that she's okay, or she like kind of was like, yes, yes, like silently, that I even looks at And when I looks at she's got her arm now like wrapped protectively around May. And then she asks what the fuck are you doing? Like, what is happening right now? Because I didn't know what was happening. Okay. I just get this weird ass phone call from May where she's like, "Where are you taking me, with like," and has been tracking that to May's point, to May's like faith, right? I just was like, that's weird, and it's tracked her down, right? And she's like, "What? It's nighttime. I just spent $50 to put gas in my bike. Like, why are we? What is happening?
Why
I do
couldn't we do
wonder
this
if
closer to home?
I know we could have done it at home. Like, what the fuck is this? I do wonder though if I ever thought in her brain to call You know what I
Maybe she
mean?
tried.
Did she? Did she try
Probably
this?
doesn't have a phone on.
I would imagine does not have her phone on her. Period. But anyway,
Unless she's using it for directions, but
I feel like she wouldn't. So because May would be like, "Oh, are we headed?" She would read the GPS and be like, "Are we
that's
headed
true.
to?" You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Not that I needs it, but still.
What do you mean it's 6 hours
Yeah,
away?
it's 6 oh, yeah, I know. Like, fuck. Yeah, that'd be really fun. Actually, I would like that because I think the commentary in the car would have been really fucking funny, but
Well, there's so much commentary that between night and day,
seriously, what were
day
they
and night,
doing?
like, they had to have talked about something. It wasn't just silence.
I feel like a lot of this stuff they're talking about at the river, they could have been talking about in the car.
Seriously.
Like, what was the car ride like? I mean, what were they doing? If
They're
it's
playing I Spy on the road.
right, a really awkward version of that. Like, it must have been so awkward. A 6-hour car ride. And then I's really bored because if she's still on the phone with May the whole time, it's just like this. She's listening to this, like, you know what I mean? That's like the weirdest thing ever, if you really think about it.
Oh my gosh.
Okay, anyway, so I's like, why are we here, and what the hell are you doing? Seriously. And then turns this shit right around and she's like, "What am I doing? Big sis, what the fuck are you doing?" She's like, "You know that I love May, okay? And yet,
Okay.
here we are."
So, back to the camera work that you were talking about. It's shaky throughout every single shot here, except when says, "What are you doing?" And then right afterwards, it goes back to handheld. And it's, like, kind of like this is main focus right now, which is why everything is still, and because, like, really needs to know what I is doing. That's
Yes.
her she's narrow focus right now.
Yes.
So
Although
it's just
she
very
didn't
interesting.
kidnap Ioun like the novel and bring I here to talk to her, you're right. The crux of all of this is actually Ioun. Really?
Yeah.
Yeah,
So, like,
that's my
great
point.
job, camera people.
Mhm. Yeah, no, good camera work. I do love it. It does like, the unease feeling and all that stuff, they do a good job of being like, this is not okay. What's happening? Okay. So then like, "You know that I love May, and yet here we are." And then replies, "But May, she doesn't love you, That's like, you need two people to be in love." But counters,
Seriously.
of course she doesn't, because no one ever loves me.
Alright, it's a gut punch for I to be the one telling that May doesn't love her, first of all. But, like, it's another gut punch for, when, like, I tells her, like, it's not true that no one loves her because Meemaw does.
I listen.
like I said this in a previous episode because we jumped the gun. Like, she could have started off saying, "I love you."
I listen.
But she doesn't even say she loves her at all.
No. Nobody who should be saying "I love you" says "I love you" in this show. Mostly May, but, like, you know
No.
what I mean?
Yes, mostly May.
May's the
Uh,
worst, but I does it too.
and, like, it makes it seem like there's literally only one person who even cares about And, like, this is especially hurtful for who has just spent most of her life just trying to be loved by
Correct.
And, like, yeah, it keeps going. I have something else, but it's
But part of the problem, okay, so all of that is valid, but part of the problem when like, "No one ever loves me," is that that triggers I's inferiority complex because that's how she feels. She feels like no one loves me, everybody loves that's been her energy the whole time she's been with May, right? It's like everybody always loves not me because I'm the black sheep of the family or like whatever. So, and that's being like saying again, cry for help. I feel like the black sheep of the family. And I's like, you're not the black sheep. I'm the black sheep. You know, even Mima fucking loves you more than me. Like that's what she says. And then she says, "Why are you acting all crazy now?" So I like is not handling the situation well, honestly, because them sound like fighting words to me. When you start calling people
yes.
crazy, like that's the best word to use here, girl. This
She
is not
says that
de-escalation.
instead of "I love you." And,
Correct.
like, this is not something you say to someone who is currently mentally
I
unstable.
know.
Yeah, and I also thought that these were basically fighting
They're
words,
fighting
and, like,
words.
she's just gonna add oil to the fire. Like, I mean, I does love herself some arson,
She
but
does.
yeah.
This is metaphorical arson. No, she is. I just love arson. No, seriously. And but like everybody's energy coming into the scene is like everybody's coming from a different place of their own self, right? Upset, obviously, and not okay because she feels unlovable. That's her energy. May is like, I just want your sister. No one's listening to me. That's May. And then I is like, you kidnapped my girlfriend. What the fuck? Like, that's I's energy in the state. So she's like, and then she's like, you're the one who's better than me. Like, what are you talking about? This is bullshit. Like, she thinks lying to her, I think, in this scene. But it's like, you two haven't
Mhm.
communicated in like 20 years. That's the problem.
Have they ever, really?
I don't know, because they were young when they were on the same page. So, like, maybe not. Okay, so I is trying to light a fire, metaphorically speaking, and then it cuts to who looks so broken and sounds so small, and she says, "It's not true." And then it briefly cuts to I and May, who look confused, but they're both fully focused on right now, not their own bullshit. They're actually focused on So now with that little broken, "It's not true," now has their undivided attention. And then when we go back to is just staring back at them, looking as confused as they are. And she responds, "You just don't know anything, do you?" And from there, we get into the of it all, which is a series of flashbacks that explains what the hell is going on with And the first flashback we get is baby right after Mima gifted her the Solar Sibling book. Now, previously, when we got this flashback, or this scene with the book, it was baby I running off to play with kids. Stayed behind because she didn't want anybody to die and she didn't want to end up in the hospital. And Mima was like, okay, cool. Here's this book so you can entertain yourself, essentially. And we just saw her getting the book. And this scene picks up like right after she's gifted the book. And Mima, after she gives the book, didn't end there. She tells her, "Study so hard that you'll be able to take care of yourself just like I can." Now, Mima didn't mean to give an inferiority complex when she said this, but she gave an inferiority complex when she said this. Like, poor was traumatized a lot as a child by offhanded comments from adults. And, like, I don't think adults, you got to be careful what you say around children because you don't know what they're going to internalize and what will change them forever. And, like, then you get
Yeah, like, that's the thing too, like, you can't know
No, you
how
can't
something's going
know.
to affect
I
someone.
know.
So could be, like, the smallest thing. And, like, I have this in my notes somewhere. I'm like, You do have to give them something to talk about in therapy later.
It's true. You know, and also, like, that's true of adults, too. You don't know what people are gonna internalize. Like, you never know.
Yeah.
Life is random. Okay, but, like, okay, not bashing Mima, but that is what happens to But from, Mima's point of view, like, she had to have known that hero worshipped her big sister. And so she was trying to encourage to play to her strengths, which is like, you're very smart. Like, she saw that she was a diligent little student, so she was trying to, like, nurture that. She's like, your strength is your brain. Here, let's strengthen that. Strength is street fighting and arson, or whatever the hell she's doing off in the
Street
streets.
fighting and arson.
That's
The
I
backbone of I.
That's Ioun. Okay, so in a way, what Mima was doing, it's kind of like a similar scene to when May first meets and I, again, street fighting and arson. She, like, saves May from the bullies, right? And then tells May, well, street fighting like I did clearly isn't going to help you, but, like, you got to figure out a way to fight for yourself. So, like, figure out how to fight in your own way. That's kind of what Mima is doing to She's trying to do that. Be like, here, fight. Like, be strong like but just do it the academic way, kind of. And I think that's what Mima was coming at, but instead of, like, the encouragement that sentiment was meant to be, little brain interpreted that as Mima loves more than me because she sees as being more capable, and I'm just living in shadow. So this is the shadow of Ioun. Okay, that's what's happening with right now.
It's just fascinating how both twins went through the exact same shit and just did not realize that the other one was thinking the same thing.
I know. It's the irony, but it's one of those, like, it's why twins in literature is so interesting, because you have, again, like the river, you have the duality of the twins, and then when you separate them, you'll see, like, how similar they really are, but they can't see it. Yeah, it's one of those things about makes twins really interesting in, like, literature. And they have one of the most literary ironic relationships ever, and, like, I really love it as a story, like, from that point of view, but I empathize with the two. It's just, it sucks because, like, you guys are so fucking similar, and, like, so that's why when they get back together, like, it's satisfying because it's like the two pieces are whole again. Like,
kind of sounds like a book,
like the Solar Siblings.
Yeah.
Is that what it's about?
It's about finding your sibling again.
I mean, that's technically happening here because they don't actually know each other is the problem.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so anyway, after that little flashback with Mima, when like, basically being like, Mima does not love me more than you, what the hell are you talking about? What are you talking about? It cuts back to in the present moment talking to and she basically says, like, that she knew Mima was more hands-off, basically, when parenting not because she didn't love but because Mima trusted to take care of herself. That's why Mima didn't seem so concerned. She knew could survive. And that trust in is like, trust is another form of love. So that's why Mima didn't ask questions when ran off. She was like, I trust her to come back, and I could come back intact and not do arson in the streets. Although Mima, I should have kept matches away from her as a kid or whatever she was doing. But she trusted is the thing. And so felt like she was being coddled by Mima because Mima saw her as incapable of surviving on her own. And there was a lack of trust there. So that's partially why felt unloved in her family, because there was this inequity when it came to trust in the family. Like, she felt like it went to that means is loved. I don't have that. I am unloved, kind of thing. And to your point, I's listening to this being like, no, I'm the one nobody loves. Like, what do you mean? Yeah. Because they're just living they think they're living in each other's shadows, and that's like, yeah.
I wonder if I's kind of resenting her right now because she's like, no, you don't understand. I'm the one who people
actually fucking hate.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
like, you have everything and you don't even see it.
Right. I can definitely see bits of that in I's face as she's trying to process this, but also, like, I think she is listening to as well, and that eventually it kind of sinks in that, like, oh, we felt this. Hmm. Hmm. Especially when it comes to May, that's when it becomes very apparent that, like, Oom's like, no, bitch, like, the whole slow your roll. I got the best sob story. Because then continues with this. She's like, listen, Mima, the person that loved me, didn't love me more. She loved you more. And she's like, luckily, one day, I found somebody that did love me, my little weak self. And that's unfortunately when we get to the May of it all. So then we flash back from here to May asking to be her girlfriend by writing it on that law docket and asking to read it. Remember that?
Mm-hmm.
And honestly, there's really nothing new to gain from this scene, but it is here to emphasize the fact that was in love with May, like truly, and she felt loved in that moment when May was asking her out because finally somebody was focused on her, and this was and remember, she did not tell May about her sister, so this was about not being in the shadow of Ayun kind of thing for And especially like at the end of that scene where they hug, like it focuses on face specifically, and you can really see she's just radiating joy, like how happy she was, how loved she felt, right?
Yeah, it really does hurt when you think about how has been longing to be loved and not seen as weak or fragile like
Yes.
everyone in her life saw her. But then the first person to truly love her didn't actually love her.
Right.
And it was once again love meant for her sister. Like,
Right.
that's brutal.
It's brutal, and it is that is the thing that can't get over, and that's why I think her processing the breakup is so hard for her. Because she's like, what could I possibly have done differently? And there's literally nothing. And it's like can't reconcile that. And that's hard.
Yeah, there's nothing you can do.
No.
There's so many things that May could have done differently.
There is so much really, honestly, it really isn't you, it's really May. It's really May.
It's all May.
It's mostly it's 99% May. The kidnapping and the trapping her in the relationship at the end was you mostly, but a lot of it was May. After that flashback, we cut back to the present, where is still bawling her eyes out and sounds so deeply hurt when she says, but in the end, I found out that the one May loved was you, sister mine. And then it cuts to I and May. And I need to note now, to your point, because like I seemed a little resentful. She came out with fighting words, like she was angry, right? Her flight or fight response is always fight, right? She was in fight mode. But then she starts hearing this stuff from and now when it cuts back to her, you notice that Ai's anger is starting to dissipate, and it's replaced by what looks like guilt. Because Ai's got a lot of guilt when it comes to now because of the lying and stuff.
Yeah.
And the fact that like you knew that May was in love with you, but then like you gave back to her knowing that May didn't love her, and then like lied to Anyway, that's I right now. And then look at May. May's face has no emotions. Like, not one. There's no emotions. There's no emotions. She has.
I mean, maybe slight concern, like, why do we have to be here right now?
Yeah, she does. Here's what I think you're right. Here's what I have in my notes. Okay. To me, it looks like the lawyer mask where she's playing chess in her head. And in her brain, May's like, how can I get out of this with I as my girlfriends do? Like, that's what she's thinking about. She's not listening to Like, let's be real. She's not. She's trying to, again, chess her way out of this situation with as her girlfriend. She's like, how do I get out of this and keep Like, Well,
You
yes.
can't chess your way out of this because Oom's not stable right now.
No, Oom's not stable, and you're trying to like wife her sister, who obviously loves her. And May already fucking knows that, and we will get to that when we get further into the scene. May knows that I loves her sister.
You're playing chess with a crumbling board.
You're an idiot. You're playing chess, everybody else is playing checkers. Like, this is not This is, and I say that because like this situation is a lot simpler than you guys are really making it. You know what I mean? You guys are trying to do all these like master maneuvers of shit, and it's like talk to each other. You know what I mean? It's like chess, checkers, which is a
Yeah.
simpler game versus chess. That's
Mhm.
what this is. Okay, but to be again, once again, I know we're shitting on May a lot because it's really easy. But to be fair to May, did abduct her, took her on this road trip to the river, and so like she has every right to be pissed off right now. To be honest. Okay, so
Yeah.
May's trying to figure out how they're going to get out of here in her brain, not listening to Meanwhile, I is listening to and you can see that she's processing and it's affecting her. Meanwhile, continues to pour her heart out to I and May, but mostly I. And explains that even though she loved May with all of her heart, and it still wasn't enough for May to love her more than I because really that's the pattern that has experienced her entire life. When it comes down to it, everyone, including chooses I over her. And this entire scene with May and I is happening because is being, if you think about it, another way to think about this is that is being, quote, selfish for once. Yes, she's unstable, absolutely. But she's being selfish in a way because she's going after the thing she wants with everything that she's got, right? Because like what
Mhm.
she wants is to have that love in her life again, right? So then she's abducting May, bringing her to the river. Is doing this in a just and moral way? Absolutely the fuck not. But do I empathize with how she feels and why she feels that way? Yes, I do. Because two things can be true at the same time, right? Two opposing things can be true at the same time,
Uh-huh.
like the river, right? Okay. And this is interesting because in that respect, if you think about it that way, I and are different when it comes to acting out of self-interest because we've seen over and over and over again that I opts not to be selfish. And when I say selfish, I mean like do things that put herself above everybody else, right? I usually does the opposite. She's consistently puts everybody else above her, even when it like harms her. She's very like duty bound. She's like duty over like what I want kind of thing. That's who I is as like an archetype. And from what we've kind of seen in the past, kind of is like that too, but in this scene here, she's like going all out on like getting what wants kind of thing. And like, look at how poorly it's going. It's not going well, but I think like that's another way to frame this whole interaction.
Yeah.
Okay. So then we flash back to the hospital and we then, like when May was in the hospital, right after she was blinded. And then we get proof that Tan does in fact use his doctor privileges to get information about patients that are not his. Because the scene opens with Tan speaking to another person in a white coat, I am forced to assume is a physician, like a medical doctor, because they're both wearing them. But no one says doctor, whoever this is. But please note, in real life, physicians are not the only people in hospitals that wear white coats. They're one of a
Hmm.
subset. So I don't know who this person is, but I assume it's a doctor based on the conversation.
They kind of resemble, from my like vague memory of the scene by this point, the other doctor who was seeing May when her eyesight came back.
That would make sense. There was never a name. I didn't catch this person's name, but maybe that's true. Okay, so Tan is asking the woman in the white coat about May, and then he's like, how's she doing? Again, not his patient. And she says, physically, May's fine, but mentally, not so much. And as they're talking, because they're, of course, not following HIPAA, they're in a room with the door wide open, talking about patients' information very loudly and using names like identifiers, which you're not supposed to do in a hospital. Anyway, so they're doing that, breaking HIPAA codes when walks by the open door and overhears this conversation essentially, especially the part where the doctor, I assume, says May is not mentally okay. Okay, so in the timeline of events, where are we at right now when it comes to So remember that the accident that happened that blinds May happens after and May get into a humongous fight because felt like May was emotionally distancing herself. And then in the fight, put together that her sister, is May's first love, and therefore May is not actually in love with her. But she never communicated that part to May, so May doesn't know that, and they have not confronted each other about that yet. So, like, basically, has a bunch of anger and heartbreak that she's feeling about May, and that's weighing on her. And then she comes in and learns that, like, May is not 100% okay after this accident. So that's where at emotionally, okay?
Mm-hmm.
All right, so after overhearing this not great news, it then cuts to in the hospital waiting room with Jan. So Jan was pretty involved with this, okay? And is confiding in Jan that she's still mad at May because of everything that happened leading up to being in this hospital, right? Between her and May. And even though she's mad, though, still can't stand to see May like this. Like, she's not herself. She's not okay. Because genuinely cares about May as a person. And I think that's really important to point out, because we're playing with that concept of, like, what is love and what does it mean to people, right? I think for to your point that you said earlier, like, the thing that makes really empathetic in the present moment with, like, I and May and all, and that whole thing going down, is because, like, so desperately wanted that love for May to be hers, and it just wasn't, and she was really devastated by that, right? But, like, for it wasn't just, like, the concept of somebody loving her that she was in love with. Because sometimes with love, like, there can be, like, a conflation that happens where you're like, I really like this. Like, it's like the Disney shit where you're like, well, I want to, like, get married and, like, do this and, like, have somebody be there for me or whatever. And that's love. It's like this concept of love, right? That wanted. And it easily could have been like she wanted the concept of what May was bringing to the table, but not May the person. But, like, here right now, it's pretty evident that, like, cared about May as a person, not just, like, this concept of, like, love. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and shows that she cared when May did not.
Yeah. Oh, yes. No, May. I don't think May knows what love is, to be honest with you. Like, even with I don't think she really knows what it means, to be honest with you. Because, like, again, she was like,
She's always trying to one up and, like, play a game.
Yeah. First of all, she's like an apex predator when it comes mentally, and you're right. There's that. But also, like, she's like, oh, I fell in love with you at first sight, which is not real. There's no way that's a real thing, because, like, you can be attracted to somebody when you see them, but, like, love is like it involves trust. You don't see someone and you go, I trust that. That doesn't make any sense. But, like, she's like, oh yeah, no. The whole time she's like, you're not this person I met for 10 seconds. You know what I mean? And, like, that's what she was basing her relationship
How do you know?
on. That's what I mean. Like, does May even know what love is? That's a bigger question in the show. Like, does she? Because, again, the reason they fought was she's like, you don't behave like that person I spent 60 seconds with. That's not love. You know what I mean? That's so weird. Anyway, that's not why we're here. This is not the May story. This is the story. But all of those points are valid, okay? Okay. Whew. So anyway, like, with so finally gets May way back when, and, like, really easily, because she was desperate for love the way was desperate for love. Both of them easily could have fallen into the toxic love trope of blindly loving somebody that clearly doesn't love you back just to, like, have somebody who loves you. You know what Paul was doing with
Yeah.
Yeah. And honestly, like, that type of, like, quote, love is what transforms into obsession and, like, possession. And, like, that's where, like, you have, like, the good love, bad love thing where it, like, falls into those categories. And I think maybe in the novel, that was the framing of and May. Honestly, their relationship was really possessive and weird, and it was not rooted in any kind of care. But the show goes through great lengths to show us that that's not the case when it comes to because we have scenes like this that help reinforce that really did care about May as a person, which, to Kaitlynn's point, is more than we can say about how May felt towards because it's reinforced over and over again that May did not actually care about as a person. She wanted as the concept of that person and that feeling she got from that person who interacted with her for 60 seconds in high school. So May honestly was more so on the concept of love versus the actual person train.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, if you really think about it.
May has to read The Value of Love a lot.
Oh my god, seriously. Wait, it would be really funny if she read it and she's like, I don't get it. Where's that scene? You know what? Maybe that's why Chow Flournoy at the end of Pluto had the characters be like, I don't know why I love you.
Are you proving Chow's point?
You know what? Maybe she was right and I was a clown this whole time by dunking on her for that. Maybe they don't know why. Because they don't know what the word love means. That's really the problem. Thoughts? Leave it in the comments. Okay, wait. But here's the deal. Okay.
I'm sorry, you just came full circle on this.
You're welcome. That's why we're here, right, everyone? Thank you for coming on the journey together. We have orbited fully.
Yeah.
Okay. So, again, this scene is here to establish that cared about May as a person, and when says she loves May or loved May, she actually loves the person May. Okay. And you know who else that you know who else knows that genuinely loves May? Jan. And that's who's here in the scene. So Jan then advises to be with May now because May really needs love and support after this accident. And she's like, like you could be the one to like support her and give her courage to like keep going through this dark time, right? Or another way to put that is can be the one to tell May to quote, keep fighting, right? There's another one of those parallel moments.
Going somewhere that just clicked now. That's a great point.
Okay, so basically, is at a crossroad right now where she has she can walk away and be like, we're broken up or whatever I don't even know. Are they broken? Who knows? I can walk away from this. Or has the opportunity to do what I did the first time she met May, which is encouraging May to fight, stand up for herself, and keep going despite this tragedy. And that was the thing that made May fall in love with I in the first place. And the shitty part is that knows that because May literally told her that during their fight. So this is really shitty for because is like, the reason that you don't love me is that I'm not my sister. And then basically Jan is like, do what I did to make May fall in love with her. That's kind of what she's being presented with, which really sucks for
So like, be like your sister.
Yes. No,
and you'll be able to take care of yourself.
Right. Isn't it really shitty for... Do you see why is not mentally okay? Look at all the shit that keeps happening.
Yeah.
That's why I find her so interesting. Her story is super twisted and very... You gotta break it down. There's so much going on with It's so fucked. Poor Okay, anyway. So then Jan is like, okay, consider that, basically. And then it cuts to who cries and shakes her head and replies, I just can't bear to be I's replacement. Because again, this is reminiscent of I and May's the start of their actual love story. And so I think to this feels like another one of those, like, I'm living in the shadow of I-Un moments. Like, I can never get out of her shadow kind of thing. Because in order for May, for to give May what she needs in this moment, which is the encouragement to keep fighting, we need to literally step into I's shoes in order to do it. And the thing is that ultimately does do it, which shows that genuinely loves May. Like, she does do it. She goes into the room and motivates her.
Yeah.
Yeah. If this were May, she would have left 20 minutes ago.
May wouldn't even bother to stop and listen to it.
May would have showed up to the doctor and be like, is that the twin I'm in love with? No? Bye. Is she here waiting? Is she outside? Like, May would have came to the hospital to pretend to mourn but like look for I. That's what May would have done. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
Let's keep it 100. Let's keep it 100. There's no shame in who May is. It's just she is what she is. Anyway. Okay. So tells Jan that she does love May. Okay, which we've just proven is true based on actual actions. But she doesn't want to see her face. So again, despite all the bullshit, deep down loves May because feelings are weird and uncontrollable, which is, if you didn't know that already, this show is trying to prove that. And the thing is that like can't flip a switch and just stop loving May because that's not how feelings work. And so really doing this, like opting to like go help May is something that's really painful and conflicting for And so then is kind of grappling with this. And then so she asks her ride or die, like, what should I do? And if you didn't love Jan before this scene, you should love her now because her response to is so simple and perfect. She like comforts and then says, just do what you want to do.
I love this so much.
Me too.
Because we have seen like that has been doing what is expected of her, what she thinks it will take to earn Ai's love. But this is Jan giving the permission she needs to be selfish and do what she needs. And that's what she really needed, like the permission. Because like there's no way she would do what she wanted if it would go against Ai too.
Yeah, no, that's literally what I wrote. This is exactly that. Jan's being like, it's okay to be selfish. Because like I brought up earlier, like her and I have that like duty bound thing, put everybody above you kind of thing. But like this is Jan being like understanding, because Jan knows everything that's going on. Like and knows really, really well. So she knows well enough to understand that has that tendency the same way I does to like self-sacrifice. So this is Jan, to your point, giving permission. Like it's okay to do what you need to do in this scene. Because like think about it, like Jan and know that May has other people helping her. Like Tan is here. She just saw her cousin, right? And there's hospital staff. There are people helping May. It's not like May is all alone. You know what I mean? But yeah, so you would just be something extra kind of thing. So Jan is kind of giving her that out to be like, it's this, you don't have to carry this burden if it's too much for you. Like it's okay to step away if that's what you need to do. And yeah, sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead. I'm good.
And I think in this scene, it's really important to highlight that at the beginning of the present day scene where Ai and are fighting over the fact that they think they're unlovable, even though feels like nobody loves her more than Ai, she has Jan, who loves her more than Ai. Like, Jan is somebody who genuinely loves more than Ai.
Poor Jan, because she always gets forgot about.
Right! She gets Plutoed by sometimes. When she's speaking about people that love her. Yeah, seriously.
Yeah.
Jan loves you the most.
Jan proves that she's ride or die by showing up for her in this moment.
Yeah, no, I know, because like Jan in this scene verbally and physically comforts Like, this is love, bitch. Like, it doesn't need to always be romantic to be valid. It doesn't always need to be my family member to be valid. Like, this person right here loves you the most. She showed up here at May's bedside after you probably told her all the bullshit May has done. And, like, here's Jan. For you. Justice for Jan is what we're saying, basically. She doesn't get enough love, honestly.
No, she doesn't.
She doesn't.
She's amazing.
She is amazing.
Big Gay Energy Award. Sorry, giving it now.
No, to Jan. I think it's valid. I mean, Jan has a lot. She doesn't even have to do anything gay. It's just like, it's just, I know. She just exists.
Just showing up. She showed up.
She showed up. Therefore, Big Gay Energy Award. I think that's valid. Okay. So after that pep talk with Jan, we then flash forward to the scene that should have qualified Namtan for her Tatiana Maslany Emmy if this series released in America, which is telling May the truth, but from point of view, not May's memory of the scene based on all her senses except sight. And already, when we enter the scene, in the first frame, it is already very different. than May's memory of the scene. Couple of things I need to point out just from the opening scene is that is teary-eyed and not emotionless like May remembered. Oom's body language in the scene is not combative the way May imagined it. And the lighting in this scene is a lot brighter than it was from May's memory. Granted, she couldn't see, but it's more like hopeful versus like dark and dreary, because that's how May was feeling when she remembered it. So I need to point that out already. May is on her bullshit in her recollection. When May is telling you something she remembers, never trust what she's saying. She's a very unreliable.
Don't trust May.
Don't trust May.
Never trust
Never
May.
trust May. So we pick up this scene from Oom's point of view at the part where is telling May that the person she is in love with isn't her, but it's Oon, her twin sister. And this time, before says Oon, she pauses, and we get the context of how was feeling when she was telling May this, which is heartbroken. Look at her. Like, she's really hurting in this scene. It really hurt for her to say her sister's name. Like, you don't love me, you love my sister. Especially in the context of, like, Oom's entire life and her inferiority complex towards and the fact that she was like, I'm still in love with this person. And then she has to say out loud, you don't love me, you love my twin sister. Just like everybody else. Like, poor Oom. And like that little lip quiver and the tremor in her voice, that was all Emmy worthy is what I'm saying. And then from Oom, we cut to May, who's then processing what the hell Oom is saying. And everything looks the same as before when we're like, is viewing May. So like those parts of the memories match, which is the interesting part of this, okay? Okay, and then we switch back to who like kind of watches May as she processes this. And if you look at like their body, like lets May cling to her arm until she starts crying, and then that's when she pulls away. So it's not that like in the memory from May, she like remembers like shaking her arm off essentially like in this nasty way, but if you watch that's not what happens. She just kind of like moves like back to herself. So like again, May, she wasn't a monster, but you've remembered as this monster that comes into this room, and that's like not what's happening.
So really May's brain is the monster.
Yes. Absolutely. May let her emotions manipulate her memory, basically. She like wanted to paint as a villain, so she had somebody to fight. Because like, well, I'll point it out in the scene, but like at one point, basically pivots her tactic and is like, I'll be your villain origin story, essentially. And so like she makes herself the villain so that May has somebody to fight. So I think May framed the memory that way.
Okay, that makes sense, because I was wondering why it was such a sudden change.
Yeah, we'll get to that. Yeah. But yeah, did that on purpose. For all the reasons you said, because May is competitive and that kind of stuff. And actually knows May, and does not, is the thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so anyway, again, the little subtle things, like when literally moves slowly out of May's grasp, May remembered as flicking her arm away. So, okay, the thing is, heart is actively breaking in this scene, and this whole thing is really hard for to do. And what's wild, too, in the scene is if you listen to it, audibly sniffles when she's crying, but May didn't clock that when it was happening. Okay? Because I think May, like, it will cut back to May, and then she just looks extremely, like, lost in her own thoughts. And I think that's another reason why her recollection of these events are not 100% reliable, because again, she was lost in her own thoughts and like she can't see. So she like wasn't fully processing like the sounds and like crying, because you could hear it. She's not processing all that. Her memory was with no emotions, right? And I have to point out, This isn't just a bashing May episode, because again, it's easy. Oom's recollections aren't 100% reliable either, is the thing. Like, yes, we're getting Oom's point of view, but Oom's memories are also clouded by her emotions, because why does the hospital room look brighter and more hopeful? Because Oom came in here with the hope that May would be back to her old self, because Oom cares about her and wants May to be okay. So when Oom formed the memories, her emotions also clouded how she remembers these things. Like, her heart was bleeding literally as she formed the emotions. So she remembers being super heart-stricken, because that's like the emotion attached to this. So when we see her, she looks really, really broken down. So, like, what happened actually in this scene was probably some amalgamation of May and Oom's recollections of this event. And, like, we will never know the real truth of what happened in this hospital scene, which is why I love this scene, because they are both unreliable narrators. Like, the truth is somewhere, some mix of this, probably.
Yeah, but it kind of not annoys me, but just like I would like to know what actually happened.
But that's life. That is real life.
No,
Even when you read history textbooks, that's not true necessarily. That's a version of what happened. What is
that's
the
true.
truth? What is it?
The truth does not exist.
Right. Go to America. Ask 2 different people about the COVID-19 pandemic. You will not get the same answer.
That's just quite true.
Because what is the truth? The truth is what you believe, unfortunately. The truth is what you remember. Like, it's not, we're all unreliable. And like, even nonfiction books, they're written from somebody's point of view also. It's not, there is no like unbiased anything. Like, we were biased people. That's just being human. But that's what makes this fun, because you get to interpret all of it. Sorry, Kaitlyn's brain.
No, it's fine.
Okay. All right, so back to the scene. So basically, again, May is very lost in her thought while Oom's like silently-ish crying in the background. So the fact that May is so stuck in her own head explains why the next thing out of her mouth is, if you want to leave me because I'm blind, you don't have to do this. Right? Because remember, the whole reason Oom came into this room is because she learned that May is emotionally not okay. And then May accuses her of being a monster. So then when it cuts to Oom, we can see that like this thing that May just said like really hurt her to hear, because like May is accusing her of being a monster right now, and she literally came out in here because she cares about May. Like, that sucks.
Yes. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I mean, I do see both sides, because May is defensive too, because like she's got to have some sort of defense up right now.
Mm-hmm.
She's trying to overcompensate for losing one of her senses. But like Oom's trying to be sincere, man.
Oom is trying to be sincere. Also, May is confused because she's like, "What the hell? What is this? This?" Because to May, this feels like this came out of nowhere. This whole like, "What do you mean I'm in love with your sister? You didn't even tell me you had a sister until like 3 days ago." You know what I mean? Like this. So she's like, "Oom, if you just want to leave because I'm blind, just do it." Like, but I like how she jumps very quickly to "You're a monster." Having known Oom for a really long time, that part's wild to me, but
Yeah.
anyway. This is not May's point of view. This is Oom's point of view, so we're also going to stick with Oom. Okay, so hearing this, Oom is obviously hurt. Because, like, again, she feels like, again, she's been living in eyeshadow her entire life and is experiencing heartbreak now when it comes to May because of it. And because she's hurt and defensive, to your point, she flips the conversation right back to I. And she's like, "You love I so much, don't you?" And it's interesting because that's what she says to her in the present when they come to the river. So there are a lot of parallels between these scenes. Excuse me. And May doesn't say anything to this. She looks like she has no emotions, while Oom continues to cry and musters up the courage to do the hard part, which is to forfeit. So she says, "Don't you want to see her at least once in your life?"
I need to stop there. Because first, May has. Second, that's not something to say to someone who just became blind.
That's true. That is true.
Because no, she can't see her.
She cannot. That's valid.
Just
I wonder if it's a translation thing and she meant like be in her presence or like
that's fair.
see as in meet her. But yeah, you're right. That is a bad pun. We don't want that. Okay. Okay, so then asks this. She's like, that first love you wouldn't shut the fuck up about? Don't you want to like meet her? So then it cuts back to May. And again, May doesn't say anything. May has no more tears. She's not crying. Instead of engaging with the question, she asks, what do you want? And without a single tear or lip tremble, says, I want you to fight. So in this moment, steps into the role of May's first love by saying this. So she does do the thing she really felt uneasy about doing. But I think it's a little bit more than that for just the like stepping into Ai's shoes and telling her to be, to fight. Because the next thing says is, don't let yourself become weak like this. And so it's interesting that used the word weak, because that's what was called her entire life. And think about where we're at right now. We're in the hospital. So is somebody who has personal experience of being in and out of the hospital a lot as a child. And so much that, back to the Mima flashback, was not trusted, or felt like she wasn't trusted to take care of herself. She felt like an invalid, somebody who always needed help. Like, that's kind of what I think she sees where May's headed based on perhaps her own experience. And so I think what is trying to say without saying it is, she's trying to say, don't be like me. Don't be weak like me. Be better. Be stronger. Be better than me. I think that's kind of what she's saying here a little bit. Because the next thing she says is, she says, be the Metawi you once were. Like, Metawi, be better than me, I think is what she's trying to get at. Did you have something to add?
No, just like, she's a nice person. Like, she truly wants her to step up and be herself. And it's just good for her. Like,
I know.
May can't see that.
No, May can't see that. But May can hear, and like when says, be the Metawi you once were, the way she says it, there's a lot of strength and conviction behind her voice. It's like really means that when she says it. So to me, it does sound like that is coming from a real place of love. And the more I watch the scene, again, the more I believe that really genuinely loved May. It just got twisted over time when heartbreak made it really hard for her to emotionally move past everything. And then when I gets into the picture and the accident, and she had to reprocess all this, it just made it 10 times worse. And that led to, by the river having a mental breakdown, basically. But here it's like, she was being, for all the crap everybody gave her and all the crap that everybody said about her being weak, is being extremely strong in this scene. Like, it is clearly killing her, but she's still doing it. You know what I mean? Like, that takes a certain kind of strength to be in this scene and be there for May when May's treating her like a monster. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like,
yeah,
I don't
because
think I would have the patience for this, to be quite. I think I would have left like 10 minutes ago. You know what I mean? I don't think I would have done this. For me, not Ioun. Ioun probably, but like, I would not, personally, would not have done this. I would have been like, okay, fuck you too. Bye. Good luck. You got your cousin. See ya. I got my answer.
Oh gosh, yeah.
I don't have this kind of patience. Good for you, Okay. So anyway, Um's goal is to motivate May. So she's like, be strong like you once were. Be Medawi, the lawyer, the most capable woman on planet Earth. If you can do that, and you can be the way you once were and be strong again, I will step aside and break up with you. And sniffles halfway through this. And her voice cracks. And it sounds real shaky. And May caught none of that, because we had none of that from May's point of view.
Yes. This is the last thing that wants to be doing right now.
No. Okay, so then says, I'll break up with you. Okay, that is the last thing she wants to say because she still loves May, even though she knows May doesn't love her. And then she starts silently crying because that hurt her to have to give her up. And then May says, if you're not really the person I fell in love with, then break up with me right now. And that's when May starts crying and it has this like lost expression in her eyes because again, she's thinking about herself. And then cries because, oh my God, is this hard? And May is not making this easy. Okay. She's not because it's May. And now we're going to get to the pivot. Okay. So remember, came into this room to motivate May because she loves her. And she came in there doing that, right? She's like, I'll step into the role of your first love and try to motivate you in the way that like made you fall in love with my sister. And I know that works for you, but it's not working. Okay. You see the way May is lifeless and not rising to the occasion. It's not working the way is trying to come at this with love. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So then is like, okay, knowing who May is, she then has to pivot. So then wipes her tears and pulls herself together and then gets way less emotional, like gets the emotion out of her voice, musters all her confidence, and then says to May, we may not love each other that much, but I'm not cruel enough to hand someone like you over to my sister. It would be too easy for someone like you. And to me, this reads like a reverse psychology move to me because was pleading before this, right? She was saying, don't be weak, be strong like you used to be. She was like gently trying to motivate May and it didn't work. So then was like, how do I get through to you, May, the person who's really competitive and never backs down from a challenge? How do I motivate May, the lawyer, Metawi? I'll threaten you. That's kind of what she's doing. She's like, you got to toughen up or you don't get your first love. So she becomes the thing that May has to fight, right? And it reads like the start of a villain origin story if you really think about it. Like this reads like May's villain origin story in a way. And I think again, the reason does this pivot is because like May in the scene was very lifeless and like not strong and like defeatist and like just sees May as this like passive, sniveling person with no ounce of fight in her. And like this is not the same woman who saved from sexual harassment. Remember that May who showed up and was like, I'm filming you, bitch. I called security. Like, remember that woman? That's not who's in this hospital right now. And said, don't be weak, right? Earlier. I think right now when is with May, she sees the worst parts of herself in May, like the weak parts, the parts that are unlovable. So I think in and she doesn't, obviously she loves May and she doesn't want that for May because she cares about her. So I think that in mind, she's trying to be confrontational to wake up lawyer May, the person that never backs down from a fight. That's what she's doing. And the funny part is that like May and when you think about it, actually have a couple of things in common from all of this. They have the I'm seen as the weakest link by everybody thing, and like I'm the smartest person in the room kind of thing in common. So like it's weird that like they don't work out because like and May are weirdly similar in like ways that they would relate to each other. But like maybe that's what makes them like oil and vinegar, where like they're too similar, so like they can't work, at least from May's point of view. Yeah. So anyway, I think that's why this feels like this really jarring kind of like, and when we got this from May's point of view, it felt like this really jarring thing that was saying, but like here and from point of view, we get more of the pauses of like really watching May, and I think that's when she was like, okay, I need change tactics, like tough it up, bitch, rub some dirt in it. That's kind of what this pivots into.
Yeah.
Okay. And then the one line that I always found kind of weird from this was when was like at the end where she's like, it would be too easy for someone like you. I think this was like the provoking line because I think what is implying with that is that if May were to go up, because May is in this situation being like, can you just break up with me so I can go get the twin I want? Basically, that's what May is kind of saying in this defeatist way. And I think what is implying is that if May were to approach I right now, like in her weakest state, I would only care for her out of pity. She's like, it'd be way too easy. Like you're like a kicked puppy right now. Who wouldn't want to take care of the puppy, right? And I think like perhaps this part of the conversation is where May's fear of I looking at her with pity and disdain kind of comes from, because I think
Mhm.
Trying to imply that right now. She's like, if she saw you, of course she would take pity on you. Like, look at you. It'd be way too easy for you to get somebody like my sister. My sister who will love anybody. You know what I mean? I think I is like the best person I know. Of course she would want to take care of you because you're sad and pathetic. I think that's kind of what she's getting at.
Yeah.
Or like, I think she maybe perhaps knows May well enough to know that she hates being pitied, because like they share that weakness thing in common, and that's like they get defensive. At least would, I would imagine. Um,
And
yeah,
along the lines of what you said about seeing May, like, kind of like herself, like,
yeah,
showing the weakness and not being, like, good enough. And for who feels like I doesn't love her, she's like, "Well, I can't love May if she's like this."
yeah.
So that's why she has to change before I can even give her to her, because there's no way I can love someone who's weak and not willing to fight like this.
Yeah, no, I agree. That I think the other read is exactly what you're saying. It's kind of like an accusation that is throwing at May, that like May would manipulate perhaps the situation as well to lean into the pity card to secure I's affection. And I think what you're saying is valid, that who loves I wouldn't want I to inherit, quote, like another burden, so to speak, by
Mhm.
having this like leech of a girlfriend kind of situation. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay. So then after finishes, the two of them quietly sob for like a minute for different reasons. And then leans towards May. Now, in the previous version of this scene, from May's point of view, May remembers this as like squaring up her body in this like combative way. But I want to point out that in this scene, when we get it from point of view, body language is quite different, actually. It reads more like open, like is being vulnerable in this scene, because I think she is, even though what she's saying is meant to provoke May. It's coming from a place of love and vulnerability. And the way she's like leaning towards May is different. In the other version, it's like it reads more like combative, because like like chest is more leaning towards May in that like squaring up kind of way, versus in this scene you can see that head is a lot closer into May's space, which reads as intimate in a way. So I think that the way this comes off from point of view is it's kind of like this is her breaking up with May in a way, like her letting go of May for real. Um, and so it's like she's letting herself be close to May because she does care about May, like in this moment while she can. And you can see her like very intently staring at May's face. So this reads more like desperate body language from versus like, I'm gonna fight you, which was like May's memory, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does.
So then after doing this, continues and says, people like you, May, must pay for what you did. And now the way says this in her point of view is really interesting, because when May remembered she remembered it as this like booming, commanding line, because I think May really internalized it. But here, voice is very, very full of emotion, and it's really low the way she says, and she trails off into a whisper. And I think partially this is because it's supposed to come off as threatening. So sometimes, like, when you can be like quietly threatening when you say things. Because again, this is the part of the conversation where pivoted into I'm going to motivate her by like confronting her kind of thing. And like 100%, that's how May remembered this because that's how we get it in her memory. But I think that this is like the villain origin story line in a way because the way she says it, it feels like this is very personal coming from So, and I think it comes back to like karma. I think that part of what is saying is that you hurt me because of your actions, and now your karma is going to make you suffer too, basically. Because, like, I think May also takes that away from this exchange too, because we hear her over and over again talk about her karma and like kind of how she's been stuck in paying her, atoning and that kind of stuff throughout the series. So I think there's like a double meaning to the line and like how says it from her memory kind of thing.
So we interrupt this video to bring you some shout outs for our Chaos Crew over on Patreon. Woo! Our Chaos Crew members on the Big Gay Ride or Die tier and above are A Mix Montzone _ Multi, Ash You So Stunning, Danny, Isla L, Erica LC, Here For It, Jasmine O, Jill L, Cassie M, Kelsey S, Leona, Michelle G, Monet F, Moving Forward Leading, Nancy D, Pooja S, Regina B, and Worshipichin. Woo! And our featured Big A supporter members for this episode are Liv T, Claudia H, and Survival Jane.
Yay! Thank you.
Thank you so much for all of your support, and thank you to everyone who's watching and listening to this. You know the drill by this point. It's been so many episodes of Pluto.
So many.
If you aren't able to join our Patreon, that's totally fine. Head to our Discord to talk to us and all the other queer media lovers and Thai girl love watchers over there. Or if you just want to support us in other helpful ways, you can leave a review wherever possible. You can copy and paste it on every site you want. That'd be great. Comment, subscribe, follow us, do all the things, and share this video with someone you think that would, well, someone that's interested in Pluto, because really that's what this is for.
We're looking for those people. Other thing is today it was a special episode, so I actually wore some Big Gay Energy merch. If you can or cannot see, this is one of our shirts that says "Mentally, I'm in Thailand." So if you want a tangible thing to support us, we also have a merch store with some Thai girl love themed things and like Big Gay Energy stuff. So just check out biggayenergypod.com and you can see stuff in there. This shirt is actually really soft, and I'm not just saying that because it's our merch store. It's actually really nice and comfortable. And like, you would never know this is gay. It's like inside joke.
Yeah.
Why am I in Thailand?
Yeah,
mentally?
it's definitely.
No one knows.
It's
why?
definitely. We don't have our logo on it.
There's no logo.
We have some merch that doesn't have our logo. So like, yeah, if you are not in a place where you could have it. Also, I believe if you purchase from our store, it does not show up as Big Gay Energy on your like credit card bill. I need to double check that, but I'm pretty sure I made it that way because we want to make sure that everybody is safe when checking out.
Yeah, so this is between us that it's super gay why we're all mentally in Thailand. But no one would know. They'd be like, oh, so you're super unless you're in Thailand also wearing this, they're like, duh, what the hell's wrong with you?
Like, no shit, you're also physically in Thailand.
You're physically here too, bitch. What the hell? But you know what? We love you and understand. So it's again still an inside joke between all of us.
Yeah.
Okay. So continuing on with this epic breakdown of Pluto, the series, episode 11. So from that hospital scene, also, Michelle G, let us know. Was that an hour like you predicted of just the hospital scene? Let us know, girl. It wasn't?
No. Well, I mean, if you count like physically in the hospital, yes, but not in that one scene.
So you let us know, Michelle G. Did we or did we not meet your expectations? So only you can tell us. So let's continue. So then we flash forward from that scene to when May and Tan were doing their stakeout in front of Mima's shop and they're trying to see I. Well, apparently reveals to us that she was inside the house and saw May and Tan through the window.
Eagle vision.
Huh?
Eagle vision. Like, what the heck? You just clock that?
I mean, is smart the way May is smart, right? Nothing gets past her. So reveals in a voiceover that her plan to motivate May to be strong and fight worked because here's May in full lawyer mode outside the house, trying to be sneaky, but catches her immediately. And
Um gave May the greatest gift she could ever give her, which is the will to fight. Which technically, yes, I gave her first, but she lost it, and Um's the one who gave it back.
I agree. I think gave her a villain to fight against. Like she became the villain, so that had to fight her. May had to fight her. Versus I just being like, bitch, figure your shit out. And then May's like, I love her forever. May is not okay mentally. I think the case can absolutely be made that May is not okay. But like, really looking through all these scenes, and you're like, was she okay?
No one is actually okay in this
No,
show.
yeah, no one in this show is actually okay, except maybe Jan. I think Jan's okay.
Well, I mean, she does have the throuple shit going on, but like most out of everybody, she's the most
okay for like the amount of time the show goes on.
Yeah, she's
you know
the
what
most
I mean?
grounded. She bought a house. Yeah, she's got things going for her. Everyone else is just losing shit.
If Jan was the protagonist of the story, it would be like a romantic comedy. It would be totally, you know what I mean? It would be totally different.
It would be.
If this was from Jan's point of view.
It'd be some like her talking to the tarot cards and like
it'd be imagine
some
getting
funny shit.
Imagine scenes of her fortune telling. It'd be fucking awesome. And like her and Pang and their weird interactions and like disaster flirting, like it would have been amazing.
I really want that now.
I really want Pluto from Jan's point of view.
I don't know if like Thai shows ever did this, but I know like some American shows, they had like web series spin-offs that like they just did like these random B storyline. Like Grey's Anatomy did one. There's a couple that I can't remember right now.
Because there aren't enough episodes of Grey's Anatomy.
I know, right? Jesus, but it's just like these like random background storyline that doesn't fit in the show, and they just put it online, like on YouTube.
Well, here's the deal. Back in my day, that used to be like shit you get on the DVD set, like extras. Yeah. But yeah, put it on YouTube. Like that's the streaming version of that, like you're saying. Oh my god, just give her a show about and make it about this. It'd be great. Jan Pang and Officer Hottie would be the main characters.
I specifically want this.
I want Jan as the point of view character. It'd be amazing. Oh my god, seriously, that would be super epic. But I forgot what the fuck I was saying. Anyway, so like, because like imagining Jan is actually pretty fun. Okay, so anyway, back to the scene. So is observing May on her stakeout with Ton as they're stalking I in the middle of the street in broad daylight. Great job, everyone. And I's the bad spy. So anyway, she's watching them and she's like, it worked. Here's May looking like her lawyer self, trying to get her sister or whatever. And it zooms in on for a bit. And if you look at like looks happy because she continues the voiceover and she says like May like pulled herself together and she's like living her life. She's fighting. That was why went to the hospital and was successful. Her tactic worked, to your point. She gave her somebody to fight. She's doing it. But truly, like May's happiness and her pursuit of Ayun is definitely a double-edged sword for because like at the end of the scene, kind of like breathes out this like sigh because like she's happy, but it's like bittersweet because like that means that May is moving on from her, and that's like hard to watch when you're not 100% over this emotionally. Anything else about that scene?
Nope.
Okay, cool. So then we flash forward again to the moment where confronted May in the courthouse. And we get confirmation it's the courthouse because I get English in this version of the scene. Okay, and in this scene where we pick up, is outside the building on the steps leading into the courthouse, and May is inside the building taking steps to go to like the second level. And she's not alone. May's assistant is back. Like you can see her in the frame. Remember the flashback. I have to bring this up because it's super weird. Because when confronts May inside the courthouse, that woman was with May and then disappears during the conversation. But look, she's back. So where did she go? What was she doing?
To the bathroom.
In the middle of that conversation, like she didn't excuse herself. She just like where was she? What was she? I hope she was eavesdropping because that was some office gossip if I ever heard it. Because like there's no way there's no way this woman outranks May in the law firm. So like she has to be an underling. So like get this tea on her boss. Like she's gonna be a superstar at work when she goes back to the office. You know what I mean? She's like, guess what I just found out?
He's like,
Our
you
boss
will
is
not
messy.
believe what the hell is happening.
Right, because there's no way everybody at that law firm loves May blindly. Like, let's be honest. No pun intended. But like, you know what I mean? They would love to hear this shit about her. Be like, this messy bitch got in this fight with this super hot woman. I don't understand it, but like they were throwing fighting words. Anyway, maybe if we got Pluto from Jan's point of view, somehow this would come. Like, she's one of Jan's clients. And like, she comes in.
Yeah.
She's like, you're gonna witness some shit at work. You gotta keep your cool. And she's like, okay. And then it's like this. Anyway, it comes back to Jan. But I had to point that out because like, it's not that she did disappear. She's still here. She just disappeared during the conversation. Anyway, so back to this. So in this scene, we just get brand new information just from Oom's point of view that have nothing to do with May. So, blah, 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 blah. Okay. So I found that interesting because a lot of these scenes that we've been getting from Oom's point of view have been like replays when it comes to May specifically with just Oom's point of view of the interaction. So we don't get her interacting with May. But like, so we don't, because like again, in that scene, all we have is May's memory, and again came off as unfeeling and like combative and judgmental, and she was like, "It's because you're blind now," huh? that kind of stuff, because it was May's memory. So we don't get setting the record straight. However, I think we can infer based on how the hospital scene went down that like was probably really heartbroken and emotional and sobbing. Probably the assistant saw cry and was like, I should get tissues. This is awkward. Like, you know what I mean? It probably got real awkward for the assistant because was probably actually sobbing during that scene. It just made it remember any of it, so we don't know that.
That's fair.
You know what I mean? The assistant's like, well, probably the assistant actually probably was there. May just has no space for her, and she was probably giving tissues to You know what I mean? I think she was there.
Maybe she just be like, emotions. I don't know what to do with these. I was not trained on them with May.
You're probably right. She's like, this is awkward. This poor assistant. Anyway, so I bet Alma Nichols, that scene went very differently from Oom's point of view, because all we get is May's.
I wish we could get the what do we call it? Assistant person?
I'm just calling her. I don't know who that is. I just guess as an assistant, another lawyer. I don't know who that is. The paralegal.
I wish we could get their point of view of the conversation because then maybe it'd be more reliable.
Like, I would like for her to go to her fortune-telling reading with Jan and then tell Jan about her day, and it's this interaction that she's explaining.
And then somehow Jan figures out who she's talking about, and she's like, okay, girl, I got you. So this is what you do.
I think that would be funny. I would actually love if Jan didn't know and then was given advice. She's like, you need to get a new work environment.
And then eventually it's like, talks to her.
Tells Jan like, and Jan's like, wait a minute. I heard a similar story today. Something's in the water. I don't know. We're in the stars.
She would start telling this story, and would be like, that's me.
What?
I really want to see it now.
Although, like, how many blind lawyers are there in Thailand? So I think maybe Jan, who knows about May, would be like, who's your boss? What did this woman look like she was fighting with? That was crying.
Do you recognize this photo?
Yeah, do you know this is a missing person dad? Do you know this person? Oops, not missing. Anyway, Jan has it just in case. She's that friend. She's ready for anything. Anyway, this just became all about Jan. This was supposed to be all about Uma, so it was just became about Jan. This Jan's funny.
Jan's awesome.
I do love Jan. Okay. All right, so, okay, back to the scene and how did we get outside the courthouse? Okay, anyway, so what we know from May's recollection of this interaction prior to this was that came here to attack her to tell her I would never love her because she's blind. And did that with no emotions. And then based on unending tears outside the courtroom, I think that, which is what's happening right now. So when we pick this up, is just crying and crying and crying outside. Okay. So that conversation clearly deeply hurt And this is more evidence that even now, this is like 2 years later. Okay. 2 years after the hospital. Is still not emotionally over May. even though she is following through very closely on her deal to let May go when May is worthy of her sister and when May gets her shit together, right? That's what prompted this whole courthouse interaction anyway, because it wasn't coincidental that like happened to be at the courthouse. For what? Was at the courthouse because May was here, and then like had the confrontation with her to be like, oh, you're here, you are, you're strong again. So like, again, this would have been cool from point of view, because like I really wonder what emotions were in that scene, because like here's May doing it and she still cares about May. So would she have been supportive? Like, who knows what that really was like. It's not the point, but like that's how we get here. And you can see that is really sad and upset by that way that went down, basically. Okay, so like yeah, so like May, so like over the 2 years, followed through with being like, I will let you go once you're worthy of my sister, that kind of stuff. But like you can see that she's like, now that we're here, May is back to lawyer mode here. She's in a courthouse. Reluctant to actually like fully let go of May. Because you can see how deeply this still hurts her after all this time has passed. And it's like, this is why emotions suck, okay? Because it's like, it's one of those things where like logically to it makes sense to let go of May, because May does not love her. She knows that. May loves her sister. Knows that rationally. But emotionally, she cannot bring herself to like fully go through with it. The best example I could think of when writing my notes was, if you've ever seen The Last of Us, and if you have not, skip ahead like a minute or two. The season 1 finale with Joel and Ellie. Okay, where Joel is presented with this choice at the very end, where logically sacrificing one person to save all of humanity logically makes sense. But because he is emotionally attached to the one person, he cannot go through with it because of his emotions. That's where is at, honestly, with the situation with May. Like, logically it makes sense, but emotionally she can't. Like, and the emotions are overriding the logic. It's The Last of Us season 1. That's where is at. Does that make sense?
Yes, that makes full sense.
Yeah. Okay. Speaking as somebody who's been in this situation, in a breakup kind of situation, I empathize with and like that is what is going on with and it's literal hell where she's at right now. Okay, so is crying for a bit before someone offers her a handkerchief. And that someone is Paul. Now, before we get too deeply into the scene, I have a question. Why is Paul here? Like, why is he here?
That's a good question.
Like, why is
I just realized we're still outside the courthouse. Wait a minute. So this whole time, yeah, why is
Paul here?
He's not supposed to know about May at this point?
Uh-huh. I don't understand.
She's just like, get in the car, Paul. You're driving me somewhere.
Why is he here? I know why is here. Set this up so she could run into May. Why is Paul here?
That's a really good question.
Was he already with Like, did he drive here? And like that's why she's like, wait outside, Paul. I have an errand to run inside. And then she like confronts her ex-girlfriend or current girlfriend or whatever the fuck this is, and then comes out and cries. And then he's like, wow, taking a while. And like, is that how we get here? Or is he following the way is following May? Like, how do we get here?
But she doesn't seem surprised to see him.
Well, she also seems really out of it and not okay right now. So like, I can't tell if she knew he was here.
Because like then like he's not supposed to know about May, but he does know about May. So like if he was there and she just didn't tell him what was going on, he would be like, "Oh, it's a courthouse. Oh, crying. Great. It's about her again."
Correct. Right. This is weird because of dialogue we get later also, to your point. Paul, yes. Right.
I don't know.
I don't get this.
You broke me.
I'm sorry.
It wasn't very hard. My brain.
This was that math meme where you can't math the math. That
This is your special challenge, by the way. Why the hell is Paul here?
Yes, leave it in the comments. How did Paul get here? Like paint a picture for us, because I honestly really don't know. This is hard. This one's hard to suss out. Also, not in the novel whatsoever. But like, how did Paul get here? Leave it in the comments. I would love
Convenience.
to know. Okay. Okay. Paul being here aside, Paul is here now. So let's get into the scene. And my main takeaway from this scene is that this is not the first time has cried over May in front of Paul. In fact, he offers to buy tissues if she doesn't want his handkerchief. And then comments that Paul usually buys tissues for her without asking. Meaning they've done this before, okay?
Also, seems like Paul's getting tired of it.
I mean,
he's like, you know what? What do you want? Can you just tell me what the hell you want?
Paul wants to love enough for the both of us. That fucking line. Paul also not okay. Again, nobody's okay on the show. Like, not a except Jan. No one's okay. That's all right. That's what makes them fun. So, okay. So, yeah. So, again, they've been here before. This is not their first I'm crying, you're giving me tissues rodeo. But, so I wonder if, like, he's been this, like, so in their relationship, I think May knew was dating Paul or at this point or something. I forget if that came out in the last part of the episode, because it's a very long episode, as you can see. But, so I wonder if in their relationship, because their relationship is also weird. It's not straightforward. The way and May's relationship is also weird and not straightforward. So I wonder if this stage in the Paul situation, that like he's been this like silent guardian kind of for her, where he offers comfort without like really engaging or asking too many questions. You know what I mean? Where he's like the silent supportive guy. That's the vibe I'm getting. And from the dialogue.
It feels like he tries to ignore what's happening and just pretend like they're in love. And again, he's trying to
I mean, yes, he definitely does that. Like, very consistently. But like, here's bawling her eyes out in the middle of a courthouse, and she didn't have a hearing. You know what I mean? So he's like, I'm not going to ask questions.
Doesn't make sense.
Right. I'm not going to ask questions, but you're sad, so I'm going to comfort you. I think that's their relationship, where it's not super deep. It's just like being there. He's there for her, but like doesn't ask questions. That's the vibe I'm getting. And then, but also like the fact that says like, you usually just get me tissues without asking me, it almost like comes off as like accusatory in a way, a little bit, where, or almost like what she's really asking is like, usually you do this and now you're not. What makes this time of me crying any different? You know what I mean? So it's kind of like interesting the way she says that. And so I wonder if like the other reason we're getting this scene with Paul and on the cusp of the May conversation is that I think that this is a pivot point for Paul and It's not just about May, it's like a pivot point for them. Because I think at this stage, like maybe Paul's feelings have shifted from being like surface level to into being like deeper from his point of view. And I think maybe now he has the courage to like be there in a different way for when she's upset. And so, and he wants to make his intentions that he cares about her clear, which is why he says, when she asks him that, he replies, "You're crying, and I don't want you to cry all alone."
Can we just take a moment to appreciate that? Because like,
yeah,
he's like fully trying to be like, you're not alone. I'm here with you. I don't want you to be alone.
yes.
Like, he was so committed, and unfortunately he was just never going to be enough, because he was what ultimately wanted. And like he died not being good enough. And I feel like that's the ultimate crime in this show.
There are many crimes in this show.
There are. But like, he literally died loving her so much and trying to be good enough for her.
And truly, Paul, it really wasn't about you, buddy. And we'll get into that. But yeah.
It was never about you.
No, it was never about you. I'm sorry. Honestly, by the time we get to the wedding, it's not really about May either. It's like it's an thing. And we will get to that when we get to that. But yeah. But I think, okay, again, to add to like this was a pivot point, because after Paul says that really supportive, like subtext of "you have me" is what he's saying. You're not alone because I'm here. The music shifts into something swelling and like hopeful, and then looks at Paul, and I think this, and like really look almost like she's looking at him for the first time, and I think this is supposed to signal that is having a realization about Paul, and that she's realizing that even though we as the audience don't really know how Paul got here, Paul is here because he cares about her. And he's fully focused on her right now. Okay, which is what she wanted from May, right? That kind of attention and comfort, and somebody who loved her, not her sister. And like here it is in the form of another human being who's willingly giving that to her. So I think for the other part of the scene is that this was a key moment when she started seeing Paul in a different way. Because I don't think she didn't just like not think about him at all. Like I think she did, but her heartbreak was making it impossible to like love him the way he wanted to be loved and or deserved to be loved in a relationship kind of thing. But like I think she did start to be like, oh yeah, this here, whoa, like is this what I've been looking for all along? I think that's what this scene is supposed to indicate. And truly, we don't get their full story and we don't get a ton about them. And so we have no way of knowing what actually happened. And doesn't care to tell us, or she's not telling I and May, because then we leapfrog from the, oh, I'm seeing him in a different light moment to, well, her being like, well, Paul proposed to me here at the river where we're all gathered here today, everybody. You know what I mean? We just jump straight to the proposal. Because it's not story, but we are getting a bunch of story in this episode. And so she's like, everybody, this river of death, we're here because I was proposed to. Right here. And before we jump to the proposal, we get the present moment where explaining this to her audience, her captive audience, and like I starts looking around like she's confused. She's like, wait, what? Is this the place from those photos? Because like she was obviously not invested in wedding. Proposal, like, yeah. You know what I mean? She's like, oh shit, I thought this looked familiar, but like also she doesn't remember anything, as we'll come to find out. Or May's like, do you remember our meeting? And she's like, I don't fucking remember shit. I don't remember. But is who's really interesting to watch in this scene, because she looks again like unsteady, unstable, and like the way she's like taken in the scenery, it really looks like she's haunted by this place. You know what I mean? The way she's looking around.
Eyes kind of look dead on the inside.
She sees dead people, because then we transition to the memory of Paul's proposal. And the way the director and production team chooses to do this is they have look off to the side. And then suddenly there's Paul's ghost transitioning, like walking towards where he's, the spot where he proposed to her. And while it is funny, because she sees dead people kind of moment in my brain, the reason I think they chose to do this as the transition is to show us how vivid this memory is for when she's physically here in the spot where she had this moment with Paul. And like the memory itself and those emotions attached to that memory are still very strong for and she's feeling them like as she's retelling this. I think that's kind of why the memory is like vivid like that, where she's looking, you know what I mean?
Oh, that's fair. Yeah, I could see that.
I think that might be why they chose to do that. Also, like kind of saves time and it's a cool transition, but like I think that's part of it.
Like showing that she really has her memories back too.
Yes, that too. And she's not lying about losing them or getting them back like the novel.
Because it's like, if you don't see a body, they're not really dead. If we don't really see her memories, then she doesn't really have them.
Does she have them? Yeah. Yeah, so, Your Honor, this is evidence that has her memories. Okay, so in the memory, Paul approaches present day or no, I'm sorry. In the way the proposal went down, Paul goes up to who has her back to him, and she's like looking at the river of death or whatever. And her arms are crossed as she's staring at this river. So automatically, has this defensive, closed off kind of body language in contrast to Paul, who's much more open. And like his mindset here is, I'm going to propose to you and tell you I love you. So it's almost like they're on different pages when this starts, which is not surprising.
Mhm.
But
No, not at all.
not at all. But seems very lost in thought looking at the river. And also, I need to note that it is nighttime when he proposes to her, just like present day. So either this river was far as fuck away, or circled around. He got here at night.
She's like, must stay at night, and she like got the time wrong.
Like, what the fuck were we going? Anyway. So, but I don't know about the time travel or the distance or whatever, but I think it's a good parallel thing to like her happiest moment and her saddest moment kind of thing, like narratively speaking, that both scenes happen at night.
Mhm.
Anyway, back to this. So the first thing says to Paul is about the river, and she's like, "Hey, this river is beautiful and scary, don't you think, Paul?" So is always thinking about this river, and she's always, again, replace river with love. Love is both beautiful and scary, don't you think, Paul?
Yeah, she says like the exact same thing that she says to May.
Yeah.
And like, so I don't know if my brain's just jumping, but like I wonder if she said it to May the same way, like as a way of hoping that the same thing
Oh, fuck.
would happen with May as it did with Paul.
She would
Like
propose.
maybe, yeah, like maybe she'll be with me.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, no,
And
I
then,
agree. I think so.
like a little bit more, uh, Paul says that she doesn't have to be scared with him. So like Paul passes this test by saying that, while May fails by like only thinking of
Spectacularly.
herself. But to be fair, May was kidnapped.
And May didn't love and
Yeah.
it's questionable if she even loves Ayun, to be honest.
Does she even love herself?
We don't know. These are questions that I still have after watching Pluto. No, I think May does love Ai's support and how. I mean, who doesn't? How could you not love Ai? You know what I mean? She's just so sweet and like
I love her so much.
she's so sweet, and like when her attention is on you, like she makes you your whole world. Like, how could
Oh
you
my
not
god.
love her? Is the thing. Like,
She rents out restaurants with no
right?
money and serenades you like ugh,
I
I
know. Like,
love
how do you
her.
not love? It's really easy to love her. Is the thing. So I get it, May. I get it. I get it. Why would you like trap her with a baby? Like, do whatever you gotta do. Like, get her.
Don't worry, we love you too. Don't get insecure.
No. I really love Okay. Okay. So yeah, that's a good catch and like a parallel thing. That's pretty haunting. I now have to think about. Thank you, Kaitlynn. But
You're
okay,
welcome.
that was good. But this is the first time she mentions the river and the duality of the water and that kind of stuff. So why is saying it now? Because like I agree with you. I think with May there's a different motivation, but why is she saying it with Paul? So if you replace the word river with love, I think what is trying to say metaphorically in a way is that she's afraid of falling in love again, given her last relationship was such a clusterfuck of a disaster. So I get that what she's saying. Like it's fucking hard after a heartbreak like that to love again. It can be really, really difficult. Like it's scary. It's very scary. So I think that's like the scariness of the river kind of thing is what she's saying. So then to your point, Paul doesn't address the river metaphor, but instead he like uses it as an opportunity to make his move. And he takes Room's hands, and then he basically says, "As long as I'm here, nothing will ever be scary again." Like that's basically what he's saying. And he's like, basically to translate that, he's like, falling in love with me is safe. That's kind of what he's saying. Like, I promise I'm not in love with your twin.
I will never be in love with your twin.
I will never be. What are those in the vows? I will never be in love with your twin.
Has Paul met I at this
I
point?
don't know. I don't know.
'Cause, like, we see her at the wedding, but, like, when did she learn? Because if was
I
worried
don't
about
know.
bringing anyone around was she like, "Oh, my sister's definitely gay, like, she won't be into Paul." So,
Well, I mean, I has a past with Casol, so, like, I
yeah,
wasn't
so I don't
that's
know.
what I mean, I wasn't strictly gay, like, I was just
Yeah,
I in the novel was breaking hearts left and right, apparently, and, like, the first woman she was into was May.
interesting.
So, if I was I would definitely not bring anybody around because, like, apparently the second it's been reinforced time and time again, the second they see I, it's over. I don't know. I feel like though he maybe that I mean, I feel like if she was actually invested in this relationship, like fully and was fully serious about Paul, then yes, that would have been like the final test. Be like, you gotta meet my sister. I like not fall in love with her.
No, he courthoused his way into it. He just showed up at their house one day, and that's how he met them.
Could be. Anyway, okay. So then when Paul says this, where he's like, "You don't need to be scared because I'm here," we cut to and genuinely smiles, like genuinely, and then they both look towards the river because metaphors. So like is happy to hear this from Paul because like again, this is the kind of love she's been looking for. And then while is distracted by the metaphor, which is the river, Paul drops to one knee, and then if you look at her, looks stunned. Like she did not expect him to do this, right? So Paul is
Yeah.
good at surprises.
But have they ever talked about marriage at all?
That's an
Because this
amazing
does not
question.
seem like she kinda just doesn't seem interested right now either.
She gets interested in a second, but like I don't think that they talked about this, to be honest with you.
No, Paul's like, "It will spook her. I have to
Probably.
just trap her into it."
I
This is
have to
her
this is his
his
version
baby trapping.
this is his version of baby trapping. Cuz he can't get
Marriage
pregnant out of
trapping.
nowhere. So he's like, "Fuck, and I can't tell her she's pregnant." That's how that works. I'll trap
Oh my
her
god,
with
could you imagine if
legal
he got
documents.
drunk and they tried that? And, like, his friends were, like, making fun, like, "You could do this, but
Oh,
unfortunately you're a man," and, like, he ends up trying to do.
he's like, "This baby, there's a stork that left the baby at the door. What do we do?"
He comes home with a random baby, he's that drunk, and she's like, "What did you
What did
do,
you
Paul?"
do? Like, this is your baby, Uma. How are you talking? You lost your memories. No, I don't want this shit for Leave her alone. Justice for and her memories as they are, even though they're shitty.
Even though they're shitty.
There's some good ones, but there's a lot of shitty ones. Okay, anyway, so she wasn't expecting him to do this. And then he pops out the ring. Okay, when he does that, that's when puts her hand over her heart and she starts smiling. Because here is this human right here, Paul, who is very kind and focused entirely on her and giving her exactly what she wants. So I think that feels loved in this scene and in this moment, hence like the hand on the heart thing. And I think that was genuine and not like a acting choice by the person.
Mhm.
Because she's not a liar like the rest of her family. All right, so Paul proposes to and then says yes, and it's like genuine. And then after he puts the ring on her finger, it almost looks like pulls Paul up to his feet. And I think she was gonna like hug or kiss him or something, but then a camera flashes, which startles Because again, I don't think she knew any of this was about to happen. And then suddenly there's paparazzi. Like, what the fuck? Like, and that's when puts together that Paul planned all of this, like the surprise, the photographers, the flower bouquet he's now holding, the rings, all of it just for her. And if is anything like her sister, then she understands the love language of acts of service really well. And so she asks Paul, like, about this. She's like, "Oh, so you planned all this shit?" And he's like, I don't want to miss a single moment with you. Because he's gonna love her enough for the both of them. Poor Paul. I'm sorry, I have to bring up that line because it's all.
It's not the way to live,
It's
dude.
not the way, man. It's not the way. But like, okay, so this was a genuinely happy moment between the two of them. Okay, because sometimes you see engagement photos and you're like, that was staged. This was not. This was a genuinely happy moment for both of them. And it was a memory that formed, free of Ioun, free of May. And I think that's why she was able to have genuine happy feelings just between her and Paul that were not like tainted by anything else. Make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. And it's a strong memory, and we know that because of the way was remembering it in real time, right? So then from this scene, we then use I like this transition where they have them taking the engagement photo to then holding the photo. And this is the moment after Jan told that there was somebody who loved you the most. And here's getting her memories back and putting it all together. And she's processing this and saying Paul over and over. And her voice is breaking as she processes his loss. Like for the first time, because she didn't, despite what they said in the show, she did not know he was dead until now because she was in a coma. So here she is actually processing his death for the first time and then processing the fact that like she had this love that was just for her and she didn't even get to enjoy it because it's gone.
And like she's once again losing the person who actually cared about her.
Yes. And then also simultaneously is losing May, who, like quote again. You know what I mean? Somebody she thought loved her. So like she's losing. She's like having like back-to-back breakups. And this breakup's very final because he's gone forever.
Okay, this is such a better outcome than if they would have just told her in the beginning, right?
I you know, yeah, I wonder if is at the dock right now by the river being like, probably should have fucking told her all this shit sooner. Like, are you regretting your actions at all, ma'am?
I wouldn't have had to drive 6-7 hours.
I wouldn't have to spend 2,000 baht on gas trying to chase you motherfuckers around Thailand. If only I had told my sister the truth when she asked me and begged me to the other night.
I could be in bed right now.
We could all be in bed right now. But we're here because of your fuck shit. Anyway, we'll get back to I later. But for now, we're still in mode. So is processing Paul's death and the fact that she lost somebody who loved her. And there's Jan watching on helplessly because this is what Jan was afraid of. Jan was afraid that if found out the truth too soon or like too close to the May shit that it was gonna break And it does in a way because she's processing a lot of fuck shit all at once and it's not good. So I get where Jan was hesitant that she's like, if I give you too much information at once, I feel like this will be bad. But like, I know you need to know the truth, but I'm scared for you. And there she is watching her like best friend lose it. So I empathize with Jan in the scene also. And I think with Paul, it's one of those things because again, we had a lot of scenes with Paul. Again, they're from Jan's point of view, where like came off as like uncaring and unfeeling in the relationship. And like, remember Paul was like, "Let me decorate the house." What do you think we should do? And it was like, "I don't care, Paul. You just pick." And I think all that was true because like with Paul, I think it was one of those things where couldn't fully appreciate him and their relationship until it was gone. So I think in this moment where she's grieving him and the good memories, I think like she's feeling more for that relationship while she's lost it than she ever felt when she was in it, if that makes sense.
Well, it's because her focus is fully on Paul right now. Her focus was always split to May when they were together. So like she couldn't be in the moment.
Yeah. No, exactly. I think that it's really easy to read some of these scenes and think that comes off as cruel or callous or unfeeling. And I'm with you. I don't think it was any of those things. I think the problem was that like Um's emotions were like tied up in healing and processing her relationship with May and the loss of that relationship. And because her emotions are tangled in that, she wasn't capable of fully investing her emotions into Paul. But, and like, that's a real thing when you're processing a breakup like that, or heartbreak, or grieving something. It's like there's no timetable for when it ends. Like, it ends. The answer is time. Time will heal it. But, like, what does that look like? For some people, it's a month. Again, in the show, we saw Jan process, not Jan, Pang process the loss of her relationship with Officer Hottie. She went to therapy, moved on, all in the span of this show. But then here's It took her more than 2 years to get over May. Like, and she still wasn't fully over it. Like, sometimes it just takes people longer, you know? And like, we have Officer Hottie, who's like, it's taking her a really long time to get over, like, Pang, even though that relationship was like not perfect and stuff. So like, it varies a lot. But with that, even though despite that, like, wasn't capable of fully loving Paul because of the May stuff, Paul did make her happy. And I think it was really important to get the proposal scene, because in that scene, was happy, and did recognize that he loved her. And she did feel emotionally safe with him. Like, we saw her smiling and like being vulnerable with him in the, even by being like, do you think the river is like this? And that's a very, like, you tell somebody, that's an unguarded statement you would tell somebody. You know what I mean? So like, her guard was down with him to the extent that it could be. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
So I think here, when she's mourning the loss of Paul, I think she's mourning the fact that he is gone, and also like mourning the loss of what could have been. The possibility of their relationship had she been over to get over May. Because she'll never know what that would have been like. Because like, she never was
She
in
could have
that
been
emotional place
happy.
with him. What?
She could have been happy.
I know. But the writer of this show said no. Said nope. Happiness. What's
Never
that?
heard of it.
Never heard of it. No, that's everybody in the show. What is that word? How about trauma?
Jan
You
has
meant trauma,
happiness.
right? You meant trauma.
Trauma.
I got that. More trauma? No, it's like the scene in The Good Place where Janet is rebooting and Michael's like, I need you to get me this file. And she keeps bringing
Oh,
up
yeah.
cactuses. And she's like, no, I got the file this time. And he's like, are you sure it's not a fucking cactus, Janet?
I am
She's like,
sure it is
I'm
the file.
sure I have the file. And he's like, okay, give me the file. And it's another cactus. And like, that's this show.
That's a great analogy.
Thank you.
Oh my god, I miss that show. I love that
It's
show.
an amazing
so much.
show. Anyway, so is mourning the loss of Paul and like what could have been, and does confirm to us that she does remember Paul, like her memories are coming back. And then we transition out of that memory back to the present. And then explains to why is here today. And she's like, listen, girl, I asked you to break up with May on my behalf so that you would know that your perfect younger sister was a two-timing cheater and May was a side piece. And then if you knew she was a side piece, you would pity May when you went to meet her for the first time. Which May was afraid all along of I pitying her. But I don't know that knew that, honestly, when she concocted this plan. But just admitted, I was trying to bring your worst nightmare into reality, is what I was just saying right now. And then like, that's why I did what I did, and I gave you that insane request after I married Paul, which is still, you still lose me there every time, but...
Like, why did it have to be then?
I don't know. Apparently that's the only time she can talk to I don't get it, but here we are. Okay, then transitions from I to May, and she's like, okay, May, now your turn. And May, who's now paying attention because is talking about her and I, she admits that she wanted May to be happy, but once she went through with her plan to get I and May together, it then became impossible for to ignore the fact that she was still in love with May. And like, the flashbacks really do demonstrate that.
I'm proud of for telling them that she still loves May, because like, her feelings shouldn't be brushed away. Cause like, ultimately she is sacrificing her love for her sister.
Yes.
But
Yes.
May does not love back, so it's
Correct.
kind of like a mute point here because, like, girl, you can't have her. She doesn't love you.
Yes. No, I don't think this is fully about getting May back. It's feelings, but I'm with you. It's like again, the twins were in a similar situation with May, but it wasn't the same. You know what I mean? When it came to being like, oh, but she loves my sister. Oh, but she loves my, you know what I mean? They were both struggling with
Mhm.
that, but like May's caught in the middle of these sisters doing this weird shit, and May only loves one of them. So you're right. In this situationship, there are three people for some reason because the writer said so. Okay. Okay. But laying all the truths out, right? And she's now directing the conversation towards IMA instead of just like reminiscing, explaining her villain origin story or whatever she was doing. Okay. But then she's like, she explains this to May, and then May starts crying. And it's like, why is May crying? May, why are you crying? And like,
Because it's not about her.
I think she's crying because just admitted she was trying to get I to pity her, and she was afraid of that. Like, it's not about, she's not upset about being upset. Like, she's upset because I think she's like, fuck it. I was worried about her pitying me this whole time, and you were trying to get her to pity me because you know her better than me. And I think that's why she's crying, to be honest with you. Either that, or May is upset that this conversation won't end faster or in her favor.
True. Also, it's definitely the next line uh will make her cry even more because uh tells I that she still loves May
She sure
and
does.
then collapses to the ground crying.
She sure does.
So like May is currently crying along with her. And like part of me feels like she isn't crying for the same reason is.
Oh,
Like
yeah,
she's
no,
crying
absolutely.
because what is saying is going to directly affect I
Correct.
and cause a rift in the relationship.
Correct. Yes, that would be a May motivation if I ever heard one. Correct.
Yeah.
Yes. So yeah, so is now, after she gets all her truths out and admits that she still loves May, and she's pleading to her sister, like, I still love her despite all of this bullshit. I like, because like again, like, I can't stop loving her, is what she's saying. It's not that she wants to love May. We've met May. Knows May doesn't love her. It's just like is like, I still feel this, even despite all this. And like, I still feel it. And it's like, feelings are weird and I can't turn them off. And the weight of that is so great that literally can't stand it anymore. And she crumples to the ground and then hugs her knees. And to me, it's like she's making herself as small as physically possible and is sobbing. And to me, this right here is the best visual representation of how feels all the time, which is small, hurt, and alone. Because if you look, she's standing by herself and the other two are clustered together. So she's alone in this. I think that's just how she feels all the time. And like, here it is. And then when it cuts back to I and May, seeing this is too much for because that's when I starts crying. Because to it's like the cost of loving May is hurting her baby sister. That's the cost of her relationship with May. Like,
Mhm.
I think that's what I is internalizing. Because I had been framing this the entire time as she's the one getting in the way, and that like her selfishness is gonna hurt because or like will end up hurting and May because they love each other and she's like getting in the way. But then it's like kind of confirmed, but not really, where it's like continuing down this path is gonna hurt and like that's what gets to I more than anything else that happened in the scene. Not May, just I.
I had trouble reading I a little bit in this scene because like I looks like she's staring kind of coldly at throughout all of this and like I don't know if she's just taking it all in or what, but like the look just feels cold and it's like almost reads as if she doesn't care how feels. But I could see if she's like trying to like really think about everything. But like also at the same time, I is currently choosing May in this moment because her arms around May and all the emotions are like reserved for her, like when she talks to her right now.
Yeah, and that's true. I is more emotionless than normal, but if you think about it, like, again, I didn't know what the hell was happening here. All she knew is that abducted May based on the limited phone dialogue she got, and just like flew out of the house and just was like, what the fuck, and like ran after, like, rode on her bike, got here, and then immediately was ready to fight She's like, what the fuck, like, why are you being crazy, like, what is this shit, like, and she checked May's body to be like, are you okay, are you physically harmed, like, she didn't trust May to be with okay, which says a lot about how I was viewing when she came into the scene.
Mhm.
But then is like pouring her heart out about all this fuck shit that happened. And she's like, you're not the golden child you think you are. Like, or I'm not the golden child you think I am. Like, it's you. You're the one that gets love from everybody, not me. And then gives her side of the story for like the past 20 years that I has never heard because these two never fucking communicate. And I think part of why she's quiet is that she's processing brand new information for the first time. Also, she got all of these memories only from May, and now she's getting her sister's point of view, and is probably
Yeah.
like, And like, again,
He
is
didn't break
not.
up with her because she's blind.
Yeah, yeah. Finally, we got that confirmed. That fucking question's been haunting us the whole time. Oh my god, that's funny. But also, like, to your point, you and a normal person can tell this human being is not okay. And like, I think Ike is trying to put together what the hell is happening with her sister and is like, what is safe in this moment? And also, like, is now it's settling in on her that like she is partially to blame for some of this by her selfishness and like not being, I don't know. I think she's trying to process a lot of different things and is like more just like frozen versus like uncaring, which can read similarly, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
But in this scene when says, I love her, I like, you see I start crying, like tears start the first time tears start falling. So I think it's getting to I like that is hurt and like her instinct is to help her baby sister no matter what. Hence how we got in this fucking ridiculous scenario. So yeah.
That's true.
At least that's my take. If you guys have other takes on Ioun and her behavior in this scene, because I mostly focused on because it was Oom's story, like, let me know. But that was my take on my read on I. Also, if you have a different read on May, also valid. Mine's mostly I'm mad at her on Oom's behalf. And also, May has done things over and over again to reinforce her motivations are very self-motivated always, even when they're benevolent.
Yeah, we are reading more into like May is like not thinking about anybody else right now, but like pattern wise, it tracks.
Right. It's pattern wise with May. That's the most likely thing that's happening. But anyway. Okay. So anyway, so then basically continues to cry, and then this scene in the present will transition to the wedding night. And we're going to end this part of the episode here before we get into the downfall of Paul and relationship and complete, hopefully, the rest of episode 11.
God. So, Michelle J, you were wrong in the fact that you said
wrong,
3 parts.
girl. You're so right and so wrong.
But you still might be right about the 9 hours thing.
Yeah.
I haven't added it up so far.
We're still going. Who knows? Okay. So we've already given our big energy award to Jan because it's Jan. So let's just jump into Taylor Swift songs. What do you got for this?
I have The Prophecy. And this
right.
is for
Yeah.
So like hand on the throttle, thought I caught lightning in a bottle. Oh, but it's gone again. Like everything that she loves is always gone.
Mm-hmm.
And like she has to process that again. So but basically the biggest one is please, I've been on my knees. Change the prophecy. Don't want money, just someone who wants my company. Let it once be me. Who do I have to speak to about if they can redo the prophecy? So basically, like,
yeah,
it's set in stone that she's gonna be alone, and like she's
that
just
rhymes.
begging for someone.
Good job, Kaitlynn. Set in stone. She's gonna be alone.
Thank you. That one's not intended.
A lot of this was not intended, but here we are.
It's too late for this. My
Sorry,
brain is
we're not
like
filming at our normal time, guys. We're sorry. Our
nowhere
schedules
near our
are
normal time.
fucked this month.
It's almost tomorrow. Anyway,
It is.
so yeah, just wants company, and so like change the prophecy,
Caitlin's begging someone. Yeah,
please.
please. No, I love that song, first of all. But yeah, that's a really, really good one.
And also, wait, hold on. Also,
Oh,
like, and I sound like an infant, feeling like the very last drops of an ink pen, because like basically there's nothing left of her. A greater
yeah.
woman stays cool, but I howl like a wolf at the moon, and I look unstable, gathered with a coven round a sorceress's table. A greater woman has faith, but even statues crumble if they're made to wait. I'm so afraid I sealed my fate because like she didn't choose Paul at that moment. So like now it's like is her fate to be alone forever?
Yeah.
No sign of soulmates. I'm just a paperweight in shades of greige, spending my last coin so someone will tell me it'll be okay. And then she's just on her knees begging to change the prophecy. This poor girl.
Yeah. No, that's very. My song for this episode, because this is the episode. My Taylor Swift song is all of them because all of them are about and I will die on that hill. So I'm giving you a challenge in addition, which is to leave a Taylor Swift song in the comments you think is not about and I will prove to you how it's about because they are all about all of them. All of them are about
You just gave yourself a challenge too. Oh my god,
Yes.
people, please do that. I
Every
was about to
time.
tell Theora that's cheating because I thought she was asking you guys to put in the
No,
comments.
put it in the comments. All of them are about all of them. Okay. But with that, because honestly, all of them, like all of them. But if I had to pick one for
22?
this episode specifically, it's Right Where You Left Me. Okay. This is one of my favorite Taylor Swift songs, or one of my favorite songs, period. And it's one of her most haunting songs about being stuck emotionally in a breakup, basically in this moment of time, and you feel like you're unable to move on from it no matter how hard you try, but life keeps moving on around you, including the person you're still in love with, basically. And it's perfect for this and perfect for journey. And the way the song is written even matches the beats of story because like I feel like Taylor Swift is somebody who actually understands this, to be honest with you, because like I told you, I've been through something similar and like a lot of her songs about this resonate. I'm like, I think she gets this and can convey how it really feels to be in this situation. So in this song, Right Where You Left Me, the first verse of the song, which I'll give you the lyrics in a minute, but the first verse sets up the hauntingness in this really vague way where it like lacks specificity the way she's describing the situation, kind of like amnesia after the coma. But this part keeps coming up where she says, "Help, I'm still at the restaurant, sitting in a corner I haunt." So the person that Taylor Swift is talking about is feeling emotionally trapped, hence haunting. You're stuck in this moment in time at this restaurant where they are. And it's very vague. And then the second verse of the song gets into the specifics, or the truth is revealed about why this person is so haunted. And the feelings of the song intensify tenfold, just like when found out the truth about May and I and had to reprocess the Paul stuff. So I think the song fits it. And that part is this, the specific part where she said, "Did you ever hear about the girl who got frozen, so stuck in time? Time went on for everyone else. She won't know it. She's still 23 inside her fantasy, how it was supposed to be. Did you hear about the girl who lives in delusion? Breakups happen every day. You don't have to lose it. She's still 23 in her fantasy, so this person is still trapped and stuck on this breakup and living, and in the fantasy, the thing she's reliving, like is, and you're sitting in front of me at the restaurant, hence why the restaurant, when I was still the one that you want, cross-legged in the dim light. Everything was just right. I could feel the mascara run. You told me that you met someone. Glass shattered on the white cloth. Everybody moved on. Help. I'm still at the restaurant. Still sitting in the corner I haunt. Cross-legged in the dim light. They say, what a sad sight. I swear you could hear a hairpin drop. Right when I felt the moment stop. Glass shattered on the white cloth. Everybody moved on. I stayed there. Dust collected on my pinned up hair. They expected me to find somewhere, some perspective, but I sat and stared right where you left me. That's is trapped in this emotional thing of May losing her, finding out she's not her sister, the Paul thing, the proposal. Now he's dead. And then again, for those 2 years, probably Jan, whoever she was talking to, was like, you got to move on, you got to move on, But there was something about that breakup, something about that moment where can't emotionally get past it. So it's almost like she's haunted by that moment. And even though other people are like, you got to move on, you got to move forward, and she recognizes it, she can't. She's just so trapped in this moment. And even seeing the other person move on, she's you saw her watch May and Tan stock eye. She's like, yeah, I'm glad you're moving on, but I'm still at the restaurant, emotionally. I'm still back in time, when I found out I was not your first love. And that's And just that happens sometimes, and it's a special kind of hell and purgatory when you can't get out of that emotional thing you're stuck in, even though you need to, and people tell you got to move on, and you're just stuck, and it's awful. And I think that encapsulates this episode. Is still at the restaurant.
She definitely is.
She is.
And her plate's been empty a long time ago.
Yeah, but that's poor I empathize with her big time. Okay, so that was part 3 of our episode 11 breakdown. We'll be back next time to hopefully conclude episode 4, or part 4, and let us know all the challenges that we gave you, which is why was Paul at the courthouse?
Yeah.
And what Taylor Swift, what would Jan's show look like for funsies? And give me a Taylor Swift song you don't think is about and I will comment back and prove to you that it is, because they are all about her, all of them.
22.
I'll do it later. I'm tired now. Okay. I'll come back. 22. That was probably again, when she was getting the proposal, she's like, I'm feeling young, I'm in love, the world is my oyster, and then the May shit comes back to her.
That's fair.
Or that's getting her first job at the airline. She's like, I'm living life, I made it, and then she gets sexually harassed at work.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, okay, yeah, that was Kaitlyn's. Leave it in the comments, and until next time, hydrate for lesbian Jesus.
And gay it up all over the place.
Bye.
Bye.
And with that, we've been Big Gay Energy. If you like this episode, check out all our other episodes right here on YouTube.
Please leave a comment below, and subscribe for more amazing super gay content.